Chapter 491, Eve of the End. Zhang. Hearing from Sacred Master Baek-woon that the great mountain supreme deity had escaped the clutches of light, we all prepared for annihilation. 10 days have passed since then. White Jade Pavilion, at the summit of Heavenly Lotus Mountain in the Bright Cold Realm. The esteemed ones of the Bright Cold Realm are gathered before it, waiting. Pot. A light descends from the sky, illuminating the White Jade Pavilion. It is the beings who govern the light delivering a revelation to Baek-woon. How long have we waited in front of it? Pot. The light fades, and Baek-woon's voice transmission comes out from within. Enter. Pot. In an instant, we are back inside the White Jade Pavilion. Sacred Master, what on earth is going on? Is the sun and moon heavenly domain facing the end? As I recall the nightmare of that time when the supreme deity of the great mountain wreaked havoc, I feel cold sweat trickling down my back. Baek-woon shakes her head. No, I have just received a revelation. Currently, the tyrannical divine spirit is, in the distant elephant nose heavenly domain and waging war against its owner there. Not only that, but it seems they intend to wage war against the owners of other heavenly domains as well. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Just what on earth are you doing, great mountain? I click my tongue in disbelief at their outrageous behavior and continue with my question. Then, what will happen to us? The divine spirits have given me a revelation. They say that for the tyrannical divine spirit to reach the sun and moon heavenly domain again, they would only do so after finishing the wars with the owners of other heavenly domain first. And since the owners of heavenly domains are by no means insignificant, it is predicted that this will take tens of thousands of years. Quote. Tens of thousands of years. In that case, all that awaits us is the natural end for now. It seems there won't be the sudden end brought about by the great mountain supreme deity. Just then, as those words leave Baek-woon's mouth, it feels as though the entire world has begun to rumble. Simultaneously, shadows that I hadn't even realized were present in this place shoot up into the void and vanish. This is, noticing the tremor that shook the world and the shadows that disappeared, I click my tongue in realization. Sacred masters, true persons, or beings of a comparable level, were they hiding here to hear the revelation Baek-woon received from the light? And that tremor just now. The middle realms are colliding. Baek-woon clicks her tongue regretfully, gazing off somewhere beyond the bright cold realm. The blood yin realm is on the move, colliding with the true devil realm with full force. It seems they are trying to force their way into the true devil realm. Ya-eum is desperately holding a defensive front against blood yin. As soon as we hear this, we all offer our condolences towards Ya-eum. To say such things right in front of blood yin. As far as I know, the sacred master of the true devil realm was originally a lackey of the blood yin realm. Now I see, they weren't at the level of a lackey but a split body. But for a split body to be so independent that they would dare say such things to the main body. What a pitiful person. Well, I suppose they thought the world was going to be destroyed, so they said whatever they wanted. Who would have guessed it wouldn't end? The esteemed ones each click their tongues, offering their condolences to the pitiful Ya-eum, and I too click my tongue inwardly. He lacked caution, or was it just bad luck? Anyone familiar with the great mountain's temperament wouldn't be surprised if the world ended right away, but who could have known it wouldn't? Though it's possible for an existence at the peak of true immortality to distort the celestial energy, so one can't foresee the future. Tisk. A split body harbors a different heart from its main body. Not just any different heart, but a rebellious heart. The issue isn't simply that he unleashed wild fury in front of blood yin. For blood yin, Ya-eum must have been both an agent of their will and a split body. They likely never imagined Ya-eum would harbor such treachery. But now that they discovered it, they have probably opened the true devil realm and are trying to retrieve Ya-eum. Honestly, until now, I've still harbored a lingering fear of blood yin. Though they suffered a fatal wound from the sword spear heavenly lord, they are still a true immortal. I've been afraid that they might descend at any moment and attempt to capture me again. On top of that, after learning about the prophecy used by true immortals during the star-shattering stage, I realize that, in fact, I still haven't escaped blood yin's prophecy. The prophecy of blood yin that says we will meet again has not yet been broken. No, to be more precise, blood yin's prophecy isn't merely, we will meet again within 100 years. After reading and analyzing the celestial energy at the star-shattering stage, I discovered the fate they assigned to me was, we will meet again within 100 years, and I will experience death at blood yin's hands. The part of the prophecy stating, we will meet again within 100 years has already been fulfilled. However, the part stating, I will experience death at Blood Yin's hands, has not yet been realized, and as long as I remain bound by this prophecy, there's still a chance that Blood Yin would pursue me. I originally intended to seek help through Kong Minhee, but Kong Minhee is currently undergoing the Sacred Vessel Advancement Ritual, so I won't be able to rely on that kind of assistance. Therefore, for a while, I plan to hole up in the astral realm and lay low for several thousand years. However, it seems I can let go of my worries regarding Blood Yin for a while. Perhaps until they retrieve the Sacred Master Ya Eum from the True Devil Realm, their focus will remain solely on him. I breathe a sigh of relief and prepare to release Mengyan Star from the alternate space into the Middle Realm. For the inhabitants of Mengyan Star to have suddenly ascended to the bright cold realm, there is probably no greater benefit. But then, Baek Woon's voice echoes in my ears. Seo Eun Yun, I will return you and the star you brought back to its original place in the astral realm. Pardon, why is that? There are 3 reasons. The first is that, too much fate has flowed in. She continues her explanation. As the sacred master of the middle realm, I must regulate the attraction force and the environment here. If too many beings flood in all at once, there will be too much attraction force to manage across the entire middle realm. Normally, it wouldn't be an issue, but with all the preparations I must undertake for the end that will come in 10,000 years, I can't afford to handle such a burden. Goo. The dimension of the bright cold realm opens wide, and a passage leading to the astral realm appears before my eyes. Baek Woon is telling me to take Mengyan Star and descend again to the lower realms. Second, while it concerns the middle realm, the fact that you took a star from the astral realm is also an issue. Though there is no immediate problem, by removing a star connected to star veins, you've caused all the stars in the astral realm to be shaken. Of course, from a macroscopic perspective, that level of shaking probably won't have any impact on the universe. Honestly, I don't see that kind of trembling as a major problem either. However, as I listen to her continuing words, I realize how serious it is to recklessly move stars, even though the situation was urgent. The faint vibrations connected to the star veins would be an unimaginable disaster by the standards of ordinary living beings. What seems like a minor tremor to us would feel like a catastrophe sweeping through the entire universe to beings without a spirit vein. Minor earthquakes and tidal waves will occur on countless stars, and innumerable living beings will die. Not that it matters to me, but you seem to be particularly meddlesome among the esteemed ones, so I'm telling you in advance to prevent you from getting entangled in heart demons. Exclamation mark. Then, if I return the star to its original orbit, can the disaster be averted? That's right. If you return that star to the astral realm, it will naturally reconnect with the star veins and reabsorb the minor tremors. Of course, the surface of that star will be completely overturned, but you should be able to protect the lifeforms from at least that much. I am grateful for the advice. That said, if adjusting stars affects the entire network of star veins across the universe, then wouldn't it be problematic if esteemed ones destroyed stars, or ascended to the bright cold realm? Esteemed ones are fine. When esteemed ones ascend to the middle realms, they can do so while remaining connected to the star veins. And as for the stars you destroy, they don't disappear entirely upon being smashed. A faint remnant of the star veins lingers, so it will gradually disappear without disrupting the workings of the universe. Thank you for your guidance. However, if Sacred Master's goal was to persuade me, one piece of advice would have been enough. The fact that Sacred Master mentioned 3 points must mean that all 3 are important. What is the third? Wo Wang. As I feel the bright cold realm gradually pushing me back to the astral realm, I ask. Pot. A projection of Baek Woon appears before my eyes. She looks back and forth between me, who is being pushed out, and the Mengyan Star, which is gradually emerging from the alternate space. The compressed Mengyan Star is slowly expanding, and she gently caresses it, as if softly stroking the star. The last is for the sake of a junior undergoing the Sacred Vessel Advancement Ritual. Advancement rituals for the Sacred Vessel stage are typically avoided in the vicinity of other sacred vessels. The reason is that if the ritual takes place within the influence of another sacred vessel cultivator's attraction force, they inevitably affect each other. This child's mind will be influenced by mine, and my mind will be affected by this child's as well. Baek Woon withdraws her hand from caressing the Mengyan Star and continues speaking. This 3,000 great thousand worlds. For those exalted ones who are true immortals and above, this entire world that is called Mount Sumeru is largely divided into 2 major forces. The faction symbolizing life, called light, and the faction symbolizing death, called the underworld. While there are other forces outside the two, they are all relatively minor forces. As you know, I am a saint of light from one of the two principal factions. Not a saintess. Call it whichever you like. Honestly, among the tall tree race, there are far more without a strict division of male and female, and starting from esteemed ones, such distinctions are practically meaningless. Regardless, I am a being faithful to the force of light. And, the child undergoing the advancement. Ritual right now seems to be directly supported by the underworld. Quote. That's true. That's why I'm helping. Quote. Aren't the two factions in a competitive relationship? Is it really all right to help? Baek-woon nods. I don't know how those above view it, but this is what I think. Life and death cannot be dismissed as a simple rivalry. They are essential to each other. Even if those above clash and, perhaps someday, their conflict reaches us and we are forced to fight. Until that time comes, I believe we can continue to give and receive. Because we are necessary to each other. With those words, she sends Kang Min-hee and me back to the astral realm where we originally were. A relationship of mutual necessity. Even if they are opposing forces, they are necessary to each other. I realize that her words contain a profound insight. No, Master, couldn't you have brought me along? Hong Fan, who had been left behind at the outskirts of the star system and missed following me as I ascended, appears with a slight grumble. I apologize to him and return the Mengyan star to its original orbit. Quote. Well, I get it for now. By the way, Master. What is it? I have completed the interpretation of the entire formula for the flawless mantra, as well as the flow of its attraction force. Master should be able to grasp it now. Ah, thank you. I received the formula and training method for the flawless mantra from Hong Fan. However, upon looking at the training method, I find myself utterly dumbfounded, unable to even consider beginning such training. The ideal way to cultivate requires reincarnating, at least, 666 times and standing upside down while chanting the mantra for 666 lifetimes until death. Is that truly the method? The first time I heard about the flawless mantra was from Yuo, during an explanation about the entity called obsidian. It was said that obsidian had cultivated in this manner through 777 reincarnations. So what Kang Min-hee is practicing must be a simplified version. In any case, it's clear that cultivating this mantra requires living upside down nearly the entire day. I ponder as I cultivate my incarnation, which has achieved the grand perfection Earth Axis stage, having nurtured the Axis seeds over the past 100 years atop my main body. Should I give it a try? Since the full practice is nearly impossible for me right now, I'll attempt the simplified training. 1. I invert the incarnation above my main body and have it begin chanting the flawless mantra. For the first year, there is no effect whatsoever. But as time passes, the flawless mantra gradually begins to shake external attraction force. What is this? The more I train in the flawless mantra, the more it feels like a perfect fit for me. Among everything I've learned so far, it's even easier to learn than devilish arts like summoning wind, dragon transformation or great desert to Dead Sea. It feels as if this mantra was prepared just for me. I continue reciting the flawless mantra, immersing myself in a trance and sinking deeper into it. I endlessly repeat the flawless mantra, feeling as though I am sinking into a cozy darkness, like the inside of my mother's womb. One day, something strange happens. As I chant the flawless mantra, I find myself staring into an endless, boundless darkness. Peering into that darkness, a thought crosses my mind. Is this the source of the flawless mantra's power? Then, the darkness responds. Yes, it's cozy. Cross over. If you do, you will feel an even greater warmth and comfort. Is this the true cultivation method for the flawless mantra? To cross over fully into this darkness? Exactly. So, this is a cultivation method meant solely for you enders. Drawing a circle is a method meant only for the ordinary. You, however, need only entrust your heart to this darkness. Circle. I don't have to draw that circle. That terrible circle. I feel my mind sinking deeper into the darkness. Yes, drawing the circle is too exhausting. Just think of that terrifying, sacred, and ominous circle. How exhausting it is. Let's just entrust everything to that comforting darkness. I sink further into the darkness, completely letting go of my consciousness. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. For some reason, I find myself muttering that formula. Like tiny grains of salt gathering. The phenomena extinguishing mantra sprouts within me. Simultaneously, I snap my eyes open. Ah, how many years have I been cultivating the mantra in this trance-like state? I see. Using the senses of the Earth axis, I read my history and calculate how many years have passed. Already, it has been 8,000 years since Jaeon Myung-hoon was captured. During that time, I have been cultivating the flawless mantra in a state of trance. Around me float the heavenly rain great star, heavenly clearing great star, heavenly cloudiness great star, heavenly want of connection great star, and heavenly crossing great star that I all unconsciously formed while cultivating the flawless mantra. I have reached the late star-shattering stage. I see. But rather than that, I am overcome with a volcanic surge of emotion at having grasped the true meaning of the flawless mantra. Phenomena extinguishing mantra, pot. The surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy converges into yin-yang 5 elements, forming a single point before me. The single point turns into a pure white light that illuminates the cosmic space. Flawless mantra. At the same time, attractive force trembles, drawing a circle of darkness around that single point. A circle of darkness, a point of light. Together, they form a wheel. This is Axel Che-jo and Wheel Che-loon. Together, they combine to create a completed wheel. The starting point, to saving Kong Min-hee. 8,000 years. After 8,000 years in this state of trance, I have finally obtained a starting point to rescue Kong Min-hee. Chapter 492. Eve of the End, Zhang. I see a path. The path is vast and wide, and it seems that by following this path, I will surely achieve everything I desire. But the path is hidden. Therefore, this is not a path that can be taken carelessly by just anyone. I reach out towards a certain wall that blocks this path. From my hand, a point of pure white light and a circle of darkness seem to appear, before gently opening the wall that blocks the path. The wall becomes a door through which I can enter, and I gaze at the door. So this is minor completion, Xiao Sheng. I look back. Having reached minor completion, a brief reprieve should be granted. But after this brief reprieve, I must enter that door, where time that has been compressed as long as eternity awaits. Will I be able to enter? I am afraid. But if I walk this path to the conclusion, before the end, I can grasp at least the faintest starting point to achieve everything and save Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, and the now silent Kim Yeon. I briefly look beyond the path, steeling my heart. Let's go. After a fleeting moment of reprieve, I shall return and seize everything within my grasp. Because my desires are so vast. To obtain them, I must pay the price. And so, in this fleeting reprieve before walking the path, I raise my consciousness to see the faces I long for. Wing. Ma. I briefly look around in a daze, then snap to my senses at the sound of a familiar voice. Master. Ah, Hong. Fan, is that you? My mind is a bit muddled. I can hardly believe that I've been cultivating for 8,000 years, and I wonder how much the world has changed in that time. Simultaneously, I remember what I have done over the past 8,000 years. I feel a bit hazy. I gather my scattering mind. Reciting the phenomena extinguishing mantra inwardly, my scattered mind gradually seems to come together, bringing back my reason. For 8,000 years, yes, I was definitely reciting the flawless mantra, taking one step after another into the darkness. It felt as though something beyond the darkness had spoken to me, saying that if I quickly crossed over the darkness, I could achieve great completion in the flawless mantra in an instant. But then, why couldn't I reach great completion after 8,000 years? As I ponder, I let out a small exclamation. I see. At the same time I was reciting the flawless mantra, I repentantly enlightened myself through the phenomena extinguishing mantra. While engaging in self-repentant enlightenment, I endlessly traced a circle within my heart, following the standard cultivation method of the flawless mantra. At times, I seemed to hear a voice from a distant place, urging me onward, but I ignored it and continued to cultivate the flawless mantra in the standard way, advancing slowly yet steadily towards the darkness. As I cultivated in the flawless mantra, fleeting thoughts crossed my mind that it might be better to quickly cross into the darkness to obtain the ultimate authority. But each time that happened, the formula of the phenomena extinguishing mantra helped me. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. Like tiny grains of salt gathering to form the sea. Build mountains through repentant enlightenment. Endlessly repeating that aphorism, I searched for myself over and over again within the circle. Of course, such a process is not strictly necessary for cultivating in the flawless mantra. In a way, it was an unnecessary and meaningless action. Perhaps it was because I repeated that meaningless action countless times that it took me 8,000 years to get this far. But, It's fine, there is no need to forcibly approach that boundless darkness. With just my own power alone, I have already. Wing, Hong Fan, Wing, look, the flawless mantra, having reached minor completion. The wheel is turning, the wheel formed by the phenomena extinguishing mantra and the flawless mantra rotates above me. No, to be precise, it rotates above us. By now, after 8,000 years of reciting the flawless mantra, I've instinctively reached the very end of the mid-shattering stage. I've come to the realm of forming 5 stars. In other words, the wheel is rotating above the star system where we reside, and it is gradually growing larger. I can feel it. My mind circulates through all 5 worlds, reincarnating Lun Wei. I see. Back when I created the Sumeru sword dance, I only understood the phenomenon of my mind reaching the immortal domain by drawing a circle, but I couldn't comprehend the reason itself. But now, I feel I understand. My mind spanning across the 5 worlds. And drawing a circle in that state. That is, in itself, one of the methods of rising to the immortal domain. The interdimensional void, source river, eastern heaven flower field, and the underworld. These 4 dimensions are all related to death. And the astral realm is a dimension related to life. I understand where the nascent soul stage cultivation and the 4-axis stage, heterodox axis foundation, originates from. Everything in this world possesses a soul. Even each and every one of my cells. And while my soul, which has a ego, goes to the underworld, my cells are keratin that have no such ego, or things like clothes or swords, return to the source river after death. The existence known as me gets broken down after entering the domain of death, and in the eastern heaven flower field, everything is rearranged and reincarnated. We, in fact, already possess the attraction force towards all worlds. It's just that after death, my very existence gets disassembled, rearranged, and divided. However, what if I could fully span across all 5 worlds as myself? A single world alone cannot completely hold the complete me, and the attraction force of the next world gradually grows stronger. From the underworld to the source river, from the source river to the eastern heaven flower field, from the eastern heaven flower field to the interdimensional void, and from the interdimensional void back to the underworld. Of course, it doesn't necessarily have to follow this order, but in any case, existence itself circulates around the astral realm as the center, revolving through the 4 worlds and drawing a circle. This is a simplified form of experiencing reincarnation. And while undergoing this simplified experience of reincarnation within the world, my mind rises above the reincarnation. This is precisely the principle behind elevating my consciousness to the immortal domain through the Sumeru sword dance. Master, please, come to your senses. You must not turn the wheel. That path invites unimaginable suffering. Please, Master, hear my words and wake up. Hong Fan's voice faintly reaches me. Hong Fan. I smile warmly towards Hong Fan. A smile spreads across the face of my incarnation created for the late star-shattering stage cultivation. Ah, I see. So that's how it is. The 5 stars, all uniformly formed of crystal, now naturally align to form a single constellation. The colorless sword mountain treading sea great star, which once was a great star, Xing has now transformed into a great star enclosure, Xing Yuan. The constellation of the colorless sword mountain treading sea great star. Colorless sword mountain treading sea great star enclosure. Just as the domains of the golden core in the core formation stage are called supreme palace enclosure, purple forbidden enclosure, and heavenly market enclosure. I have become the master of the colorless sword mountain treading sea great star enclosure. In short, the owner of the colorless sword enclosure. To cultivate repeatedly to become a constellation in the sky. This is the essence of cultivation in the star-shattering stage. At the same time, I gradually approach the plane of fate. I realize that the domain known as the heavens no longer feels distant. Soon, I might just reach the plane of fate. No, even now, with the all-heaven sword, it feels like I can interfere with the plane of fate far easier than before. The problem is that I can't bring myself to hold a sword in my hand after witnessing Hyeonggui's dance. It is now, everyone, now that Master has somewhat regained his senses, we must awaken him fully. If not, once that immortal art activates. While I am lost in various thoughts, Hong Fan is noisily shouting something while looking at the wheel I have raised. Around me, the esteemed ones of the bright cold realm, and my comrades, who have all reached the level of esteemed ones before I knew it, come into view. Kim Young-hoon has fully risen to void shattering, and Oh Yun-sok, somehow or another, seems to have succeeded in containing the power of a star within himself. And Kim Yeon, Who knows what she did, but her lifespan is at the 4-axis level while her cultivation is at the heavenly being stage. It seems she intentionally scattered her cultivation after reaching the 4-axis stage, bringing herself back down to the heavenly being stage. I don't know why she made that decision. In any case, there are 28 artificial stars floating around her in a compressed state, supplying her with power. Regardless of her cultivation realm, her actual combat strength appears to be nearly equivalent to that of 2 people in the Grand Perfection star-shattering stage. Could it be, were they worried because I had fallen into a state of trance? The end is still far off. And judging by the aura I sense, Kong Minhee's advancement ritual to the sacred vessel stage has not yet concluded. When I lower my consciousness to the Mingyan star, I see Kong Minhee still wandering around various parts of the star with Blood Yin, Seo Weol, Seo Ran, and others, absorbing her fragments and raising her cultivation. It seems she experiences bursts of madness each time she absorbs a fragment, but Seo Weol, by grazing on Blood Yin, has prevented her from going berserk, so no problems have occurred. One thing that's concerning is that Seo Weol appears to be preparing something to break the immortal art that was cast on Seo Ran by GWAKMNUO, but it still seems a long way off from being broken, so it doesn't appear to be a major issue for now. In any case, it feels good to see these beloved faces after 8,000 years. Now, it's time to walk the path again. I shall now return to cultivation. No, you must not. Master, please, you must come to your senses. I have remembered something about the flawless mantra. I don't know by what cause and effect Master has come to learn of its paired counterpart, but if Master continues to learn it, you might no longer be able to save your comrades. You might become unable to overcome the end. You might lose yourself entirely. Hong Fan. I speak to him. While reciting this mantra, I received a whisper from some being beyond. That being said that if I follow them, I would immediately achieve great completion in the mantra. But I did not follow that being's whisper. Master did very well, whoever that being may be. Instead, my incarnation sits on one of the stars of the colorless sword enclosure, meeting Hong Fan's trembling gaze. Has Hong Fan also reached the star-shattering stage by now? He now appears to be in his early 50s. Perhaps when he reaches the entering nirvana stage, he will look like a man in his early to mid-40s. I proceeded through the proper method. No matter what the darkness whispered, I ignored it all, and by learning this mantra through the proper method, I have glimpsed hope. Hong Fan, as if unable to understand, grasps my hand and asks. Just what is Master saying? Hope. At this rate, Master will be consumed by that immortal art and perish before even being able to reach the refuge space for the end. You will die. If I cultivate deeper into this mantra, I can save Kong Minhee. That much is certain. Then what about Sir Myung-hoon? In 2,000 years, didn't Master plan to go and rescue Sir Jaeon Myung-hoon with that Seo Weol person? Yes, we plan to use Seo Weol's tainted soul filling the heavens to break Jaeon Myung-hoon free. But the bastard alone isn't enough. That person is a true immortal. And for someone like me who isn't a true immortal to contend with a true immortal, I need something beyond what I currently possess. Moreover, I'm still bound by blood. Yin's prophecy as well. Golden Shaking Bird and Blood Yin. The unknown being who gifted Kim Yin with a new form of extraordinary pattern law talent. If I can't deal with them somehow, I won't be able to save my comrades. Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Minhee, Kim Yin, and even myself. If I am to save everyone, I must find hope here. With the power we possess, we can't do anything. So, we must take a gamble. Because you conveyed the mantra to me, I was able to see hope. Thank you, Hong Fan. It is all my fault. I was wrong, passing that mantra to Master recklessly without even fully recalling all my memories of it. Master, this servant, Hong Fan, beseeches you. Please do not entrust yourself to the immortal art. Why must Master risk your life on such an uncertain gamble? Because, I smile faintly, life, after all, exists for my own sake. So if it's to protect something precious to me, I can stake my life on it. More than anything, though I called it a gamble to Hong Fan, I know otherwise. As long as I don't lose myself within this immortal art, I can accomplish everything before the end. Therefore, do not worry. I will definitely return before the end. Thank you, Hong Fan. And thank you, everyone. I bid farewell once more to Hong Fan and to everyone I hadn't seen in 8,000 years, then close the eyes of my incarnation. Now, within the depths of that darkness, it's time to follow the path prepared by the darkness. No, that's not it. It's not the path prepared by the darkness. The pure white mountain of salt and darkness. The two combine to form the wheel. Therefore, this is a path prepared by two beings. Though my comrades and Hong Fan seem to be trying to use even the power of the bright cold realm to influence my mind, waking after 8,000 years was only a brief reprieve achieved after reaching minor completion. Now, he is both wheel and axle. He has stepped onto the path we have created. A precious opportunity crafted by the two imperial venerables, even at the cost of deceiving themselves. It is an arrangement set up solely so that the successor can reject the temptations of the two imperial venerables and walk the correct path. This is not a prophecy. It is neither the authority of fate nor the authority of history. It is nothing more than an impossible miracle. Therefore, you, Black Snake, He Shay. For this inheritance alone, no matter what you do, you will not be able to bestow any blessings. This time, the successor will walk alone. Thus, within someone's earnest desire, Seo Un-yun once again steps onto a certain path in a state of trance. And from this moment, Seo Un-yun's time begins to flow differently. 10,000-fold. Within the time of life that is perceived to be 10,000 times longer, Seo Un-yun creates the heavenly outer diagram Great Star and the heavenly inner diagram Great Star, reaching the grand perfection star-shattering stage. However, such things are not what matters. Using Kong Minhee's sacred vessel advancement ritual as a medium, someone deep within the darkness connected to her scatters Seo Un-yun's mind. Had he succumbed to the temptation of darkness, he would have ended up in the same plight as Kong Minhee, but Seo Un-yun does not yield to the temptation and steadily draws a circle. To fulfill a promise, someone beyond the darkness begins to reincarnate Seo Un-yun's mind among the 7 stars. Thus, Seo Un-yun's mind starts to orbit around a fixed star, drawing a sacred disk, Sheng Pan. And finally, the eve of the end approaches. Translator notes. Sacred disk as in sacred vessel, they are written the same. Chapter 493, Eve of the End, Zhang. I have become a very small being. No, saying, become, feels a bit strange. I have been small from the moment I was born. But something feels odd. It's as if I used to be a big being. A being capable of destroying the entire world, of moving between stars, possessing authority even greater than those of gods. I don't know why, but I feel like I was that kind of being. Perhaps it's just a delusion. After all, I am merely a tiny microorganism. I live by photosynthesizing, absorbing surrounding materials for nutrients, and in this way, I live my whole life. Then, I die. I have become a microorganism. But this time, a slightly larger microorganism than before. Now, I am able to prey on other microorganisms. Unlike last time, I live by devouring microorganisms. While doing so, I am eaten by a microorganism larger than myself and die. When I come to my senses, I am once again a microorganism. But this time, I am not just a slightly larger microorganism. I exist as multiple microorganisms, simultaneously. In other words, the microorganism at the eastern edge is me, and the microorganism at the western edge is also me. I have become multiple microorganisms and gather them together. As the collective consciousness of the microorganisms, I make them cooperate to find food. This time, I am neither eaten as before, nor do I live as briefly as before. But eventually, I also reach the end of my lifespan and die. I come to my senses once again. In this world, there are many beings like my previous self, entities that have become the collective consciousness of microorganisms. And I, too, have become a part of one of those collective consciousnesses. These beings with collective consciousness survive by consuming countless microorganisms. Sometimes, there are even cases where one collective consciousness consumes another. In the past, I think I once called these collectives of microorganisms, bugs. But what is a bug? And what is a past? I can't quite remember. While I am lost in other thoughts, I am eaten and killed by another bug. When I come to my senses again, I perceive that I have grown larger. I have become a large bug. I realize that I am able to prey on other bugs. The moment I understand this, I keep moving to avoid being eaten by other bugs. Endlessly, I devour other bugs, flee, and struggle to survive. But then, I am crushed to death by a massive rock that falls from the sky. When I come to my senses again, I am alive. In front of me is a stone, and underneath it lies a small bug, crushed to death. By the standards of the past era, it's a stone smaller than a pinky finger, but to bugs, it's a large rock. What exactly is this past-era standard? And what kind of organ is a pinky finger? I briefly drift into these other thoughts, but then I quickly stop myself. In the great nature, losing myself in such thoughts could lead to death or being eaten at any moment. I need to quickly prepare to survive. As I move my body, I perceive that my domain has expanded again. I have become bugs. Just as I was once a collective consciousness of microorganisms, I have now become a collective consciousness of bugs. I lead the bugs that have become a part of me and set out to survive. Though I end up dying again, death no longer fills me with dread. In the days of being a microorganism, I didn't know this, but now I do. I am gradually growing. With each experience of death, I am gradually evolving. So death is not something to fear, rather, it is just another opportunity. Thus, there is no need to fear anything. I continue to grow larger and larger. At first, a microorganism. Next, a bug. Then, a big bug that eats other bugs. After that, a small beast that preys on big bugs. Then, a large beast. An even larger beast. A monster that devours beasts. Eventually, I become the collective consciousness of monsters. Warururururuk. The entire world is ablaze. The place where I live is right here. The ground is mostly clear and transparent. Of course, there are also many areas dyed in various colors. But I have to be careful, as sharp and jagged things stick out across the ground. If I'm not cautious, the body could be torn apart in an instant. But what I need to be even more cautious of is the mountain fire. The high places on the ground are called mountains, and at the summit of these mountains, flames sometimes erupt that are the same color as the ground, turning the surroundings into a sea of fire. When that fire touches my body, a pain as if my mind is being torn to shreds, no. Pain that is much more excruciating than that is felt. Of course, it doesn't actually harm the physical body, so survival isn't a problem. But if I remain in that fire, the pain grows so intense that I would rather die than live, so I must be cautious. If I'm not careful, merely touching that fire could be so painful that I might commit suicide. If that fire is a threat to the mind, then there is something else that is a threat to life. Kururururu. A black stream flows before me. It is a river. If any being comes into contact with that black stream, they slowly die, regardless of the reason. Fortunately, there is no pain, but even so, it's terribly frightening. The one small relief is that, over time, the black energy dissipates from the water, and it becomes just water. The water, created in this way is extremely precious. Because that water symbolizes life itself. Fortunately, in the distance, I can see a lake where water has pooled. I lead the bodies towards the lake, guiding them to drink from it. It is then, koo-goo-goo-goo-goo, the sky turns bright red. Curious about what's going on, I look up, only to see a ball of fire descending from the sky. And it's not just one. Instinctively, I sense that I must not get hit by those fireballs and try to avoid them, but they crash into the distant mountain slope before I can even react. Kugwagwagwa. Along with that, the world trembles. A massive shockwave sweeps us all away, and every race, without exception, is completely wiped out. Gradually, life begins to sprout on the ground. And as expected, I return as well. However, I sense something has changed. The bodies gradually stop listening to me. These bodies now possess something unlike before. Awoa, awoa. They are beings with scales on their bodies, hair on their heads, and smooth faces. My bodies use their tails to bring fire and manipulate it. At the same time, they combine river and fire to create unusual phenomena. They begin to combine the black river and the colorless fire to refine the earth, creating something called tools. Around this time, I realize why the bodies don't listen to me. It is because they have developed something called ego. Now, I can only guide their ego. I can no longer control them directly. However, after discovering their ego, I feel my boundaries expand, growing wider and broader. My mind melts into their ego, becoming them themselves. I am both a mother and a father to someone, and a child and parent to another. I am their prey and their predator, their daily sustenance and their tool, all at once. As they gradually grow stronger in ego and reason, they use tools and begin to use writing. For some reason, the writing is Hangul. What is Hangul again? I think I remembered it once, but it doesn't seem very important. In any case, I evolve together with them, struggle alongside them, and at times, harmonize with them. As their ego develops and their intelligence arises, I gradually melt even deeply within them. To the point where I can no longer even remember my original self. My original self. Just what exactly is that supposed to be? It's of no concern. It doesn't seem important. What's important is that they are me, and I am them. They are constantly filled with fear. It's due to the primal terror of death. But I am not afraid. Because I know that death is merely a part of the process by which I am reborn. I whisper wisdom to them. Among them, the perceptive ones receive my wisdom and, at the same time, try to seek out me who gave them the wisdom. Of course, they can never find me. Because I am them. But when they fail to find me, they create a symbol to represent me, and begin to worship it. Before I know it, I have become their god Qian. Those who worship me as their god offer me their prayers and analyze my wisdom. For the sake of those who seek me, I whisper even more wisdom. Countless years pass. Having obtained my wisdom, they begin to start something. And then, some time later, the most perceptive among them breathes out fire from their mouth. The others grow even more fearful and reverent of that being, growing a deeper worship for me. The one who first breathed fire passes down the method to their kin. The kin record the method in writing and organize it, refine it, and practice it. Before long, they are able to wield increasingly greater amounts of fire. Among those who wield fire, the clever ones improve and evolve the technique, discovering ever more superior methods. Then, at a certain moment, they are struck by lightning falling from the sky. Kururururung. Those struck by lightning have an image of their younger forms etched within them, their appearance transforming into something never seen before. Their faces remain the same, but their bodies, once nothing but scales and tails, now grow arms and legs, and the scales and tails vanish. They are both amazed and frightened by this change, and soon they give a name to this form. They call it transformation, Hua Xing. Soon, those who achieve transformation become leaders among them, ruling over the entire world. At this point, I confirm the true nature of this world. This world is round, and as it spins, it brings about day and night. Before I know it, my mind now pervades this entire world, and I feel my mind connecting with something. It is yet another me. Another being, just like myself. It turns out there are 6 other beings like myself, with minds encompassing an entire world. I instinctively know that they and I are the same kind of existence. At the same time, I sense that when my mind expands and grows enough to fully connect with them, something monumental will occur. I want to know what that event might be. More years pass again. Those, other selves of mine, who call themselves the Candle Dragon race, Zhu, have now reached the highest pinnacle, even surpassing transformation. They call this level the Earth Axis stage. As the number of Candle Dragons cultivating the Earth Axis stage increases, my mental domain also grows larger and larger, until I am now nearly indistinguishable from the star itself. Then, at a certain moment, one of the Candle Dragons who reach the Earth Axis stage decides they can no longer cultivate on this star and rises into the sky. They soar into the sky, pierce through the domain of void, and advance to the world of attraction force calling for them. Yes, they have ascended. And it's when the first ascender emerges from me. Ah, I am finally able to understand who I am. TSTSTSTSTSTSTS. My mind that has been divided among 7 stars finally reconnects. Simultaneously, the wheel above me takes on a complete form. From the central axis of the wheel, 8 spokes extend outward, connecting to the wheel's rim. The wheel is at last complete. Simultaneously, I finally recover the memories of me that I have forgotten. Kugugugugugu. The stars display strange phenomena. As I reclaim my ego, the surfaces of the stars tremble as if writhing. Forgotten memories from ages past resurface. After creating the heavenly rain great star, I slowly cultivated my incarnation up to the grand perfection integration stage before detonating it to create the heavenly clearing great star. It was easier than the first esteemed one advancement ritual. After all, I was not detonating my entire being but rather only a clone. During the advancement of the heavenly clearing great star, I created a circle following the formula of the flawless mantra. Simultaneously, this circle spun the nebula, and with the rotational force, drew in the surrounding dust clouds. Through the attraction force of my main body, the heavenly clearing great star reached the same mass as the heavenly rain great star before it became complete. Normally, it would have taken a considerable amount of time to gather the nebula, but the flawless mantra minimized that duration. While reciting the flawless mantra, I continued to create the next stars. Heavenly cloudiness great star, heavenly want of connection great star, heavenly crossing great star. I completed the 5 stars symbolizing rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, and crossing. At that moment, I briefly regained consciousness and told my comrades that I would walk the path ahead. Afterwards, I returned to the state of trance and created the heavenly inner diagram great star and the heavenly outer diagram great star. The 5 stars orbited around the fixed star, finally aligning in a straight line. The 5 stars, having received the fixed star's authority and in a state connected through star veins, formed the 6th star. Once the 6th star was created, the 6 stars orbited around the fixed star and revolved. This rotation drew in the surrounding nebula, and by using that nebula to complete the final star, I finally entered the grand perfection star shattering stage with the 7 stars symbolizing rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, crossing, inner diagram, and outer diagram. Moreover, a grand perfection with all 7 stars possessing the rings of heaven and earth dual cultivation. After entering the grand perfection star shattering stage, my consciousness shattered into fragments. So that's how it was. I recall when the first me remembered the past. The version of me as a microorganism remembered the me of the star shattering stage. My memories continue to trace back further into the past. This time, it's memories from the integration stage. During the integration stage, I remember adventuring with my comrades and rising to void shattering. I even recall those 190,000 years spent drifting through the universe back then. My memories go even further back. To the 4-axis, no. To the Earth axis stage. To when the great mountain supreme deity crushed the Wuji religious order to death. To when I conducted Axis Foundation practice in the ancient force realm and the nether ghost realm. Heavenly being stage. The time when I split into Seoli. When the golden divine heavenly thunder sect was destroyed by heavenly punishment. Nascent soul stage, core formation stage, chi building stage, chi refining stage. My memories even reach back to those distant and nostalgic times. 5 energies converging to the origin, 3 flowers gather at the summit, pinnacle, first rate, second rate, third rate. And to that past when I was completely ignorant, first falling onto ascension path. I realize that this phenomenon of tracing back my memories is not a simple recollection of the past. Just like when I advanced to the nascent soul stage, this is a part of the advancement ritual where I trace my entire life back. Ah, I see. Following the orbit of the 7 stars, my consciousness has transformed into an orbit around the fixed star in the shape of an outer rim of a disc pan vessel. My soul is reincarnating around the fixed star, drawing a circle. And with each rotation my consciousness completes within that circle, a memory from a certain realm or a certain stage of my life returns to me. As I revisit the stages of my life, I remember my life. The memories are as vivid and intricate as those in the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Now, should I reach the time before I came to Ascension Path? As I look at my memories from the present all the way to the earliest moments in Ascension Path, I set my heart on tracing back to my days on Earth. Just then, I suddenly realized that there is a part of my life that was not recorded in the canvas of myriad forms and connections. That was the 14th cycle, the time when I joined the Azure Heaven Creation sect and met esteemed one Sui Ryong in the True Devil realm. When I created the 25th move of Severing Mountain Swordsmanship, Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace, and glimpsed Kim Yeon's consciousness peering into something within her memory. That memory was definitely the moment right before reaching Ascension Path. Ah, finally, my consciousness arrives at that point in the past as well. Just before reaching Ascension Path. That is, right after we were engulfed by a landslide. I vaguely remember that time. Within the darkness of the buried soil. We, who were on the brink of death in that place. Suddenly, as if we had been reborn, reached a new space. Emerging from the darkness into a place of light, we all squinted our eyes and gazed directly at it. There, we saw the black snake biting its tail. The being that brought us to this place is the black snake biting its tail. With the piercing pain and pressure inflicted on my mind, I scream a wail that resonates throughout the entire universe. Don't think. A pressure far more terrifying and horrifying than any time I recalled or encountered a governing immortal seems to crush my mind. Until now, the only being that had subjected me to such overwhelming pressure was the oldest one, who pursued me during regression. Keying, I quickly shift my mind elsewhere. Jaeon Myung-hoon, who handed me the steering wheel just before the landslide. Jaeon Myung-hoon, who made me work overtime the night before our workshop. And Jaeon Myung-hoon, who 2 days prior had called me out to the smoking area, blowing clouds of cigarette smoke in my face to relieve his own stress. Clinging to my anger towards Jaeon Myung-hoon like a lifeline, I swiftly pull myself away from thoughts of that terrifying being. Thank you, Jaeon Myung-hoon, for giving me such a powerful emotion. I silently offer an incredulous thank you to Jaeon Myung-hoon, and I continue to review my entire life. At last, the moment I was born from my mother and father. I arrive at the scene I saw during the nascent soul stage and quickly pull myself out of the recollection. And finally, I momentarily step out of the orbit of the star system and rise up to the place where the wheel is turning. My orbit, which spans both the wheel and the star system, merges. I feel my mind becoming one with the immortal art. At that same time, the spinning of the orbit begins to accelerate. I detach all the candle dragons who were born on the surface of the planets and relocate them to a nearby star. I know that I could simply absorb those who were born from me, but I decide to grant them a new life and fate. Those who had bought land and buildings on my surface wail, but that is none of my concern. Then, at the moment when the spinning of the 7 stars reaches its peak. Boo Wang, I gradually narrow the rotating orbit of the 7 stars. The moment the stars reach the center of the wheel. Flash, the spinning stars explode all at once. I feel my mind growing hazy. Just like advancing to the star-shattering stage, advancing to the sacred vessel stage boasts staggering difficulty. Even if a grand perfection star-shattering esteemed one prepares meticulously and chooses the auspicious timing, the success rate for advancement might not even reach 10%. However, compared to advancing to the star-shattering stage, it is noticeably easier. For star-shattering advancement, one must destroy everything of oneself. In contrast, for sacred vessel advancement, one compresses the sacred vessel disc and detonates it, but one's immortal art remains intact afterward. The advancement to the sacred vessel stage involves dividing oneself into countless fragments, merging oneself back together within an immortal art, and through that process, creating a rotating orbit through consciousness. Then, compressing that orbit and detonating it is the essence of the sacred vessel advancement ritual. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. As cosmic space vibrates, an immense nebula forms. During the star-shattering stage advancement ritual, this nebula is compressed to create a star. However, it's different for the sacred vessel stage advancement ritual. Wo Wang, centered around the immortal art I have created, the nebula begins to gradually spin. Soon, dust clouds gather at the center of the nebula, and the temperature at its core starts to rise. A tribulation begins to sweep over. Single quote ... exclamation mark. Something is off. Normally, the heavenly tribulation for the sacred vessel advancement ritual arrives from the 4 realms. Underworld, interdimensional void, source river, and eastern heaven flower field. Heavenly tribulation converges from these realms of 4 and forces the sacred vessel becoming esteemed one to perceive all 4 realms. That is the purpose of the sacred vessel advancement tribulation. Just as the purpose of the star-shattering star tribulation is to connect the star and the esteemed one, the sacred vessel advancement tribulation aims to link existence and the state after death. Kururung. From the source river, star veins writhe, and a heavenly tribulation that erases spacetime itself pierces me. From the underworld, a heavenly tribulation composed of the same death energy accumulated within my soul strikes me. From the eastern heaven flower field, a heavenly tribulation that instantly transforms my body to the fates of the eastern heaven flower field and scatters me to death penetrates me. Then, finally, from the interdimensional void, something terrifying and utterly unknowable stabs me. The one certainty is that if I lose my focus while enduring these heavenly tribulations, I will be immediately pulled into the corresponding realm and die. Something is off. As I withstand the heavenly tribulations, I am struck by an odd feeling. It's too strong. The number of sacred vessel stage heavenly tribulations that come from each world is 4. That means I am supposed to endure a total of 16 heavenly tribulations. However, even after finishing all 16 rounds of heavenly tribulations, I break out into a cold sweat, feeling the unending onslaught of heavenly tribulations with power far beyond what I heard from Baek-woon. The heavenly tribulation has become weird. Normally, one can tell how much heavenly tribulation remains by looking at the sky. How many heavenly tribulations passed and how many are left can all be seen from the celestial energy. But, the heavenly tribulation has gone crazy. No matter how much I try to read the celestial energy, I can only see a future where heavenly tribulation keeps striking continuously, with nothing else discernible. The heavenly tribulation that has always fallen in precise amounts up until now seems to have suddenly lost its mind. The standard of the heavenly tribulation has disappeared. Just why? I grit my teeth inwardly as I continue enduring the blows of the heavenly tribulation. The more the heavenly tribulation crashes down, the stronger the force pulling me towards each realm becomes. The underworld, the force pulling me from that deep, dark place grows even stronger. Ah, no, if I keep getting hit by the heavenly tribulations like this, I'll really die. The issue isn't the power of the heavenly tribulation, but its nature. Its nature to drag me towards death is unendingly striking me. How many weeks have I endured, holding on against the four realms tribulation like this? Pajijijijik. Finally, the heavenly tribulation subsides. Hu, ku. As the nebula spins, my consciousness settles at its center. An astrolabe Xingpan Sungban of spinning nebula, a holy sacred vessel disk Xingpan Sungban of rotating reincarnation. If the star-shattering stage is the realm where one becomes a constellation, then the sacred vessel stage is the realm where one becomes a rotation. At the center of this rotation is my soul, centered on immortal arts, while my true body has become a spinning nebula. As I continue my sacred vessel cultivation, the center of this spinning nebula will gradually grow hotter and stronger, transforming into a fixed star that emits its own light. In the early stage, it is a spinning nebula. In the mid-stage, a fixed star. In the late stage, a red giant. In grand perfection, becoming a white dwarf is the typical cultivation path of the sacred vessel stage. I open my eyes. From the sacred vessel stage onwards, one's very heart essence becomes a world. The colorless sword mountain treading sea great star enclosure has now become a world within my mind, and from now on, as long as I spend time within this world, I can extract anything from it into reality, creating sustaining existences in the world. At the same time, I recall the time I have spent on this evolution. In terms of real time, it was a brief period, not even fully spanning 2,000 years. Yet, during that time, my mind had shattered into at least 10,000 pieces, slowly merging back together. Each of those fragments lived as microorganisms, that's difficult to say if they even have souls, on the surface layers of my origin stars and underwent countless lives. Therefore, although it was an incredibly short period of time in reality, my subjective experience, as I underwent the cycle of reincarnation and created the candle dragon race amounts to around 20 million years. Wo Wang, as I focus my consciousness, the ring of the nebula, the sacred vessel, compresses. I create an incarnation and place the sacred vessel within it, then half open my eyes. It was a long, and even longer time. The miracle achieved by learning both the flawless mantra and the phenomena extinguishing mantra simultaneously. Instead of the usual cultivation method of splitting one's mind and unifying it under an immortal art. The masters of the two immortal arts allowed me to rise to the sacred vessel stage by splitting my mind and living countless lives as microorganisms to evolve a species. It was you too, in the depths of darkness, faintly pulling at me from there, the oldest one. And a mountain built up with pure white salt. The two visions pass fleetingly before my eyes. I don't know what it is you want from me. However, I will walk my own path. I quietly express my resolve to the void. No response comes, but that alone is enough. 200,000 years. In subjective time, after 20,190,000 years, I have finally reached the sacred vessel stage. Now then, it's time to prepare for the end. Inside the lightning sacred sea. In the bedchamber of Golden Shaking Bird and Jaeon Myung-hoon. There, Golden Shaking Bird clutches her head, trembling uncontrollably in a corner of the bedchamber as if she has lost her mind. Nana, please. Someone, please tell mates a dream please. Pajik, Pajijijik. Red lightning crackles over Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, which is covered in countless small footprints with his upper garment removed. Golden Shaking Bird trembles, trying to pull open the bedroom door as if desperate to escape, but the red lightning repels her hand. Th. She looks back at Jaeon Myung-hoon with a face twisted in terror, trembling like mad. They are resurrecting, inside his body. Ah, no, I need to get out. I need to get out. But she cannot leave. Unable to leave and unable to approach Jaeon Myung-hoon, Golden Shaking Bird can only tremble in horror. Bright cold realm, heavenly lotus mountain. At its center, Baek-woon smiles faintly while looking off into the distance. He's done it, that monstrous child, but this, as she glances down at the black paper in her hand, her faintly smiling face turns grave. This is serious. Ancient Force Realm, Sea King Hall. Nether Ghost Realm, Black Ghost Palace. Purple Gold Realm, Banta Castle. True Devil Realm, Blood Sacrifice Altar. The Sacred Masters there, and Blood Yin's clones all stare at the black paper in their hands with solemn expressions. Moments later, Haelin of the Sea King Hall in the Ancient Force Realm wears a grave expression. Pasasik, the black paper held in his hand. The black ancient paper crumbles to dust. He lets out a low groan and clutches his face. Ah, has the tyrannical devil god devoured them as well? Next, it will be the turn of the hungry one. Is Mount Sumeru's fall inevitable? What are the heavenly venerables doing? Where has the so-called heavenly craftsman vanished to, and just what is the snake doing now? Are the Radiance 8 immortals only good for putting on airs and unable to do anything in the face of that devil god? Ah, the world will be overturned. Haelin sighs deeply, tears of anguish streaming from his eyes. After devouring the Elephant Nose Heavenly Domain and the Owner of Names. Next came the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain and the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain. The Great Mountain Supreme Deity, who has devoured a total of 2 Supreme Deities and 4 Heavenly Domains, now sends their will towards the Good Sight Heavenly Domain. COMEFORTHVOID. Raising both hands, they speak. IFYOUD. ONOTREVALYOURHEADISHALLDEVOURYOUWHOLE. But no response comes from within. With a faintly simmering anger, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity slowly brings their hands together. The Good Sight Heavenly Domain begins to crumple. DISGUSTINGSLAVECONTINUETOFAILANDREPEATEDLYFACEDEATH. Do. Thus, after crushing and swallowing the Good Sight Heavenly Domain, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, now having devoured 5 Heavenly Domains, heads toward the twin holding Heavenly Domain while muttering quietly. WHILEYWIOULIEDOWNTHISSETHALFEASTONHUNGERFEASTONATE SBLOODANDREACHTHEACHEAUDIENCECHAMBERDONOTREGRET. Zing. I extend my consciousness domain and lower my gaze. My consciousness domain has expanded to an immense size. This entire star system feels as though it fits in the palm of my hand. Everything within a radius of 0.6 light-years enters my mind. Within this range, I am omniscient. Though I only did the advancement ritual using the Heaven Tribe method and haven't yet achieved Heaven and Earth dual cultivation, at this level, I probably wouldn't easily lose to anyone. Wo Wang. Behind me, instead of the 3 great ultimates, a wheel emerges. It is a wheel with 8 spokes. I can sense it. The cultivation of the sacred vessel stage will require me to fully materialize these 8 spokes. The cultivation of the 8 types of fates that Baek-woon spoke of. That is the cultivation of the sacred vessel stage, and it seems this goal is represented by these spokes. I should ask other sacred vessels for more details. With that thought, I look downward. I can see the people of Mengyan Star all looking shocked. After all, with the disappearance of 7 stars, it's only natural for them to be alarmed. However, among all the confusion, the most startled must surely be the Candle Dragon race. The Candle Dragon race have all been relocated to Mengyan Star. Although there are minor differences among the Candle Dragon race who had lived on the 7 stars, they all ultimately originate from me, so the differences aren't significant. The race that had evolved while living in the hell that was my world, that is the Candle Dragon race. Although they initially expressed some dissatisfaction about the slightly lower levels of heaven and earth spiritual energy, they quickly settle into Mengyan Star's heaven-like environment, each finding a spot to lie down in contentment. But this is strange. I feel a hint of puzzlement as I observe the Candle Dragon race. Is it normal for a completely unheard of race to emerge during the Sacred Vessel Advancement ritual? I decide to ask someone more knowledgeable about this phenomenon later. For now, I store a sample of the Candle Dragon race's bloodline genes in my world and move on to find someone else. It is Kong Min-hee. Finding her is easy. She is still floating upside down alongside Seo Ran, absorbing her scattered fragments. It seems she's almost completed her advancement as well. But perhaps due to her connection to the underworld through the flawless mantra. The more Kong Minhee finds her essence, the more she seems to lose her former self. Once bright and cheerful, the more she absorbs the fragments, the more she seems to lose her human appearance. She is changing to resemble the ghost-guiding Holy Mother and is visibly losing her rationality. Seo Ran, who once protected Kong Minhee, is now being dragged around by her. I frown slightly as I glance at Seo Ran. Now that I think about it, 2,000 years ago, I had briefly opened my eyes. At that time, when I swept through Kong Minhee's surroundings with my consciousness domain, I had seen her accompanied by Blood Yin, Seo Weol, and Seo Ran. Back then, I was too out of my mind to give it much thought, but in retrospect, it was absurd. I can overlook Blood Yin, but Seo Weol, that bastard. I have no idea when he managed to blend in with Kong Minhee. Snap. I snap my fingers and Seo Ran appears before me in an instant. Kong Minhee looks startled below, but this isn't the time to pay attention to that. Senior. Stay still for a moment. I place a hand on Seo Ran's shoulder with my eyes gleaming. Wo Wang. The wheel rises behind me. I incorporate Seo Ran's consciousness domain into the rotation of my consciousness. Senior. My consciousness feels like it's about to scatter. Don't worry, I'm just pulling out something vile. After some time, from within Seo Ran's consciousness, dark and dirty things begin pouring out like a swarm of bugs. Come out at once, snake scorpion bastard. Finally, all the black things within Seo Ran's consciousness burst forth. Woo-doo-dook. I clench my hand and attraction force condenses, causing all the black things that came from Seo Ran to explode except one. Everything my gaze touches burns away, leaving no trace behind. Squirm, squirm. After some time, the final black fragment writhes, taking on a human shape. I hastily transfer Seo Ran into my world and glare at the bastard. What do you think you're doing, Seo Weol? Nothing much. Just struggling, that's all. You. I glare at Seo Weol. His entire body, for who knows what reason, has taken on a faint reddish hue compared to when he absorbed Hyonium. Unlike Hyonium, who had been covered entirely in a black robe, Seo Weol is now cloaked in a dark red robe. I devoured Blood Yin's clone. It was fortunate. If Blood Yin hadn't been busy subjugating Yaeum, I wouldn't have gotten the chance. Now, I've crawled right up to Blood Yin's doorstep. I should thank Taoist Seo. There's no way you've only done such things to Blood Yin. Since you've meddled in Kong Minhee's advancement ritual, didn't you do something to her as well? My apologies, but I'm not bold enough to attempt such things to the ghost-guiding Holy Mother. Who knows what might happen if I were to again peek beyond within her? Ho ho. I glare at him as I speak. What are you planning to do with Seo Ran? 10,000 years have passed. That much time is more than enough to extend my dominion across the corners of the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. In truth, the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain has been practically vacant thanks to Golden Divine's lightning sacred sea sealing it off. It's no different from an empty house. Don't dodge the question. In any case, what I want to say is, I've nearly gained complete control of the lightning sacred sea. I've reached the point where I could create opportunities at will for your comrade, Jeon Myung-hoon, to leave. And, with that level of control over the lightning sacred sea, I can accomplish other things as well. For example, I could prevent true immortals from other heavenly domains from interfering here at greater degree or Warurururuk. Black flames spill from my entire body as I approach him. Do you want to taste real fire? Is that why you're changing the topic with me in front of you? In short, the one who has been preventing Taoist Seo from being abducted during his advancement all this time was none other than me. If you wish, I could slightly release the lightning sacred sea's sealing authority. It is. Then, quack, a terrifying light bursts from my left shoulder, beginning to pull me. This, what in the world? A distant place. Beyond the heavenly domain. From there, I see 8 colossal giants of light. Among them, the illusion of the 5th seat beckoning me flickers before my eyes. I'm being dragged in. So you have finally risen. Come here. You are to become the immortal treasure of this immortal. From the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, that being is calling for me. I'm horrified, knowing that if I lose my focus, I'll be dragged away entirely. It's at that moment, snap, when Seo Weol snaps his fingers, I freeze in place on the spot. Ha, so you were blocking this? One could say so. There's no need for concern. As long as I'm in control of the lightning sacred sea, Taoist Seo won't have to worry about being dragged off immediately. Of course, He points upward with his finger. It would be wise to avoid entering the bright cold realm. If you were to go there, even with my block in place, you'd be pulled straight into the Heavenly King heavenly domain. What? Think about the name of the bright cold realm. It was once the world of vast cold Guang Han, but now it is the world of bright cold Guang Han, lit. Light plus cold. It is the world of light. Baek Woon is already a universally acknowledged saint of light. It wouldn't be surprising if I were dragged away through Baek Woon. Fine, I'll delay questioning you until a little later. In any case, avoiding the end is the priority for now. I'll rescue Jeon Myung-hoon, enter Yongsu Jin's treasure vault, and retrieve the symbols of the middle realm. After returning the symbols, I'll head to the purple gold realm, where they desperately seek a successor. If I go there, they would certainly accept me. For now, we will depart for the lightning sacred sea with my comrades. Tell me where they are. Ho ho, if Taoist CEO is searching for his comrades, they are all currently with the refuge space. Refuge space? That's right, it is a refuge space centered around Sacred Master Baek Woon. Fortunately, Taoist Seo's comrades who hail from his homeland have all reached the star-shattering stage or its equivalent, allowing them to enter the space alongside Sacred Master Baek Woon to escape the end. You're saying I can't call for them right now? It's entirely possible. However, the refuge space operates on the principle that each individual within anchors themselves to the formation as its axis, creating their own domain within the space. If they were to leave now, it would likely be difficult for them to re-enter once the end begins. I deliberate for a long time. The fact that all my comrades from my homeland have reached the star-shattering stage likely means that Kim Yeon has also reached a similar level, or a realm comparable to it. There's no need to worry about my comrades. Then, does that mean only you and I will go? One could say so. Seo Weol shrugs his shoulders as if it doesn't matter. Please do not worry about me. My wife is safely within that space as well. In case of an emergency, she will survive and scatter me in the new world. You plague-like bastard. Ho ho, thank you for the compliment. And there's no need to worry about the ghost mother down below either. I already know that, even if the end occurs, Kong Min-hee will be protected by the underworld faction. I can feel that as she advances to the sacred vessel stage, she is transforming to become the vessel of some existence. She is likely becoming the vessel for one of the exalted reapers of the underworld. In that sense, there's no need to worry about Kong Min-hee's life for now. The reapers of the underworld will protect her. Because of that, Taoist CEO doesn't need to worry about anything. Taoist CEO just needs to come with me, rescue Jeon Myung-hoon from the Lightning Sacred Sea, and enter the 108th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea. Understood. I try to look for Hong Fan but realize he isn't here, so I nod in acknowledgement. Hong Fan is likely also preparing his own domain within Sacred Master Baek Woon's refuge space. I head toward the Path of Stars and close my eyes, envisioning the jade plaque that serves as the key to the Path of Stars. The esteemed ones of 10,000 years ago were helpless without the key to the Path of Stars, but I don't face such limitations. The jade plaque from that time manifests above my hand. My heart essence has now become a complete world, and I am able to bring anything from within that world into reality. Heart essence is ultimately my heart. It can be transformed in accordance with my thoughts and the will I express. Therefore, if I imagine the jade plaque, I can manifest it whenever I want. Open, Path of Stars. Wo Wang. I step on the Path of Stars in the direction of the peaceful cloud realm, heading towards the Lightning Sacred Sea. I will rescue Jeon Myung-hoon and survive from within the end. And I will completely free Kong Min-hee from the underworld's attraction force. I will, without fail. How long have I been traveling the Path of Stars with Seo Weol? At some point along the way, I pause atop a planet. Wait, I have some matters on this planet. Then please, attend to it. I'll be waiting here. With those words, he disperses into the darkness and hides. I turn my gaze to the ground below and speak. It's been a while, Senior Jinlu. Have you been well all this time? The one I have come to meet is Jinlu Gok, the human race entering nirvana quasi-immortal. I have come because I have something I wish to ask you. But no answer comes. I click my tongue and reveal the wheel behind my back. Please lend me your ear for a moment. And please stop pretending to sleep. Do. As I begin to draw out my power, I can feel the entire star trembling. Perhaps the voice of a sacred vessel can't be ignored, as I can feel Jinlu Gok making his presence known in irritation. Damn it, why are you bothering this immortal so much? Junior Seo Eun-yun has come with a question. As a senior of the same human race, I ask for your guidance. The end is not far off, and yet you're truly making this bothersome. If you're looking for a way to avoid the end, I have nothing to say other than to head to the Middle Realm and join the formation led by Baekwoon. Well, not that it would matter if that arrogant god crawls over to the sun and moon heavenly domain to bring about the true end. There's no answer to that. Jinlu Gok speaks in an annoyed tone, facing me in just his planet state without even forming an incarnation. However, I shake my head. That's not it. Senior, do you perhaps know anything in detail about the advancement ritual for the sacred vessel stage? I have come to Jinlu Gok regarding my curiosity about both my situation and the situation of the Candle Dragon race. If it's Jinlu Gok who held a position similar to being a disciple of Lofty Dragon, I thought he might know. After a moment of contemplation, Jinlu Gok opens his mouth. Creating a species while advancing to the sacred vessel stage is rare, but not unheard of. Back when this immortal served as the high priest of Lofty Dragon, I once saw such a method described in an ancient tome they gave me. Ah, is that so? His explanation continues. But the more I listen to his words, the more I can't help but let out low sighs. In this way, those who occasionally advance to the sacred vessel stage by creating a species end up creating a race that they themselves belong to. Is it truly impossible to create a race that has no relation to oneself? From what I know, that's impossible. In the case of the human race, depending on the cultivation method, there can be variations, racially. For instance, a yellow human race cultivator advancing to the sacred vessel stage might create a white human race or black human race. However, I've never read in any ancient tome about something like a candle dragon emerging from the body of a human race cultivator. Why on earth did they emerge in the first place? At the time of my advancement to the sacred vessel stage, my reasoning had been clouded, so I hadn't noticed anything strange at the time. But now that I think about it, it's incredibly bizarre. To begin with, are you even human? Pardon, for an ordinary human, even if they advanced in such a manner, a human should have emerged as an intelligent entity. But that's not the case for you. Something entirely different emerged. This means that some strange information is embedded in the blueprint of your life. Generally, creating a race this way is influenced by your life's original blueprint. Do you, by any chance, originally possess some kind of immortal beast true blood or anything like that? After hesitating for a moment, I raise my hand in front of him. A faint, hazy mist flickers over my hand. This is the only immortal beast true blood I possess. Moreover, this is not even a true bloodline but immortal beast talent, or seed, that one obtains by living more than 10 times the lifespan of their race. When I manifest the seed of the immortal beast true blood I've awakened and let it float above my hand, he, who up until now has only shown me an attitude of being bothered, immediately forms an incarnation and begins inspecting the seed. It's true that the seed of an immortal beast is something inevitably acquired by those at the 4-axis stage and above, but yours is a little unusual. In what way is it unusual? It's too much. Pardon, how old are you, exactly? Roughly, about 10,800 years old. Jinlu Gok looks at me with a dumbfounded expression before clicking his tongue. A 10,800-year-old sacred vessel, what a monstrous brat. Are you the reincarnation of Yang Su Jin? In any case, here's what's strange about your bloodline. Clearly, you are only 10,800 years old, but the depth of history accumulated in this energy is hundreds of thousands, no, millions, tens of millions of years. Does that even make sense? I clear my throat and inform him that I cultivated using a certain immortal art that created a perceived sense of time equivalent to 20 million years. Upon hearing this, Jinlu Gok strokes his chin thoughtfully, then shakes his head. If you used an immortal art that prolongs perceived time, then I suppose this amount of time is understandable. But even so, it's still strange. Are you really human? If you used an immortal art that extends perceived time, then what emerged should still be human. So why in the world would something like that candle dragon race emerge? With an expression that says he can't understand it at all, he prods at the energy of the immortal beast true blood. As he continues to observe the energy, his eyes suddenly light up as though he's discovered something. I see. There's something abnormal. What do you mean by abnormal? A transformation has occurred. A transformation? What kind of transformation? His eyes gleam as he carefully examines the energy of the immortal beast true blood. Nearly 900 times? No. About 1,000 transformations have been made to your true blood. I don't know what happened, but your true blood bears traces of cycles of time, life, and death being imposed upon it. About 1,000 times. As a result, it seems your true blood has transformed from being human to something as far removed as the Candle Dragon race. Does anything come to mind? I let out a low groan. Immortal beast true blood is a type of information in the form of blood. It is something that infuses the history of the subject into heaven and earth's spiritual energy, granting power. My immortal beast true blood has undergone at least 998 mutations due to regression, and as a result, it seems I have transformed from the human race into the Candle Dragon race bloodline. I do have some guesses, but I will study it more thoroughly later. That is, if I survive the end. Do as you please. Then, there's nothing else you need to ask, right? No, then get lost. There are too many beings entangled with you, so I have no desire to face you. Before I realize it, I find myself transported to the next planet under Jin Lugok's yell. It seems Jin Lugok forcibly activated the path of stars to send me away. I smirk and quickly proceed along the path of stars, heading toward the lightning sacred sea. Later, if the opportunity arises, I'll need to study the bloodline factors of the Candle Dragon race stored in my world. It's clear that the Candle Dragon race is undoubtedly connected to my regressions. Quirururun. As I arrive at the lightning sacred sea, I slightly furrow my brows. What in the world? The lightning sacred sea, until recently, had just been a ring-finger-shaped dimension enveloped in a dimensional barrier. But now, true to its name, the entire ring-finger-shaped dimension is ablaze with lightning fire. Kwaggggg. Multicolored and multi-shaped lightning rages like crazy, burning across every corner of the lightning sacred sea. Co Whale. Do you know why the lightning sacred sea is in this state? Sururuk. Emerging from the darkness, Co Whale, cloaked in a dark red robe, shakes his head with a puzzled expression. That, I'm not sure about either. My guess is that golden shaking bird is doing something through the one called Jaeon Myonghoon. Is it some kind of ritual through the heavenly golden thunder body? Given the situation, it seems best for Taoist Co to enter alone. Please leave Co Ran to me. I'll take good care of him while Taoist Co is gone. Don't spout nonsense. Either way, if I fail this time, Co Ran will die because the end will come. If I don't fail, Co Ran staying with me is better than leaving him with you. Ho ho, how dependable. As expected, it's better for Co Ran to be with me. If I were to interpret Co Whale language, it would mean that keeping Co Ran with me is more of a loss to him. After rescuing Jaeon Myonghoon and Kong Min-hee, I'll have to find out why he's so obsessed with Co Ran. Now then, we shall enter the lightning sacred sea. Use all your power to create an opening. Understood. Then, I wish for a safe return. Leaving Co Whale behind, I enter the lightning sacred sea. Inside, I witness an uncanny sight. A sudden chill runs through my entire body, and I instinctively try to leave the lightning sacred sea. Quirururung. But for some reason, red lightning erupts and seals off the exit to the outside. Co Whale, did you scheme something again? Biting my lips tightly, I glare at the upper levels of the lightning sacred sea. It doesn't matter. No matter what schemes you've laid, I have every confidence I can break through. As long as I reach the 100th floor, I can. Leave again. Let's clear the way to the 100th floor quickly. On the first floor of the Tower of Trials. I turn my gaze to the hundreds of millions of chi-gathering stage thunder beasts. The thunder beasts are all kneeling, hands clasped together and assumed in a posture as if they are praying to someone. The sight inexplicably reminds me of a past nightmare, but I shake my head. Co Whale must be controlling the thunder beasts through tainted soul filling the heavens. There's no way the thunder beasts of Yongsu Jin, the enemy of the owner of heavenly punishment, would suddenly be praying to the owner of heavenly punishment. It must be because they have been infected by tainted soul filling the heavens as per Co Whale's plan. Whatever schemes you're plotting, they won't work, Co Whale. Remaining as wary of Co Whale as possible, I move upward to rescue Jaeon Myonghoon. Watching Co Eun-yun enter the lightning sacred sea, Co Whale chuckles softly. As you interpret my words in reverse, for today, I've spoken plainly. Truly, for you to help me this much, I find you utterly dependable, Taoist Co. Gazing at the lightning sacred sea for a moment, Co Whale briefly erases the smile from his lips. With a now expressionless face, he extends his hand towards it. As if there's something he longs for in front of him. It's been long. With a face stripped of all emotion, he utters a faint exclamation and opens his mouth. Long, and even longer. The moment Seo Ran crosses the 107th floor. I will, at last, awaken from this dream. Wu Wang. Seo Wei'ol turns his back to the lightning sacred sea and gazes at the entire universe. Though his vision is gone, he senses the entire cosmos by borrowing the senses of Ohai Seo. With both hands outstretched, he speaks. Now, the entire universe begins to change. The stars in the sky tremble, and the attraction force grows stronger. As the attraction force reaches its peak, the universe begins to contract. The world is soon filled with light and heat as everything starts compressing into a single point. The end begins. Seo Wei'ol smiles faintly once more. Wearing a mask-like smile, he begins to disperse. Simultaneously, all the stars and nebulae of the universe begin resonating with him. The end has begun, and as Seo Eun-yun begins climbing the lightning sacred sea to rescue Jaeon Myung-hoon and search for the symbols of the middle realms. Within Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, the heavenly tribulations he has consumed thus far are raging, as if preparing to meet their true master. As chaos begins to break out across all the middle realms, Hong Fan, who had been staying in Baek Woon's refuge space along with Seo Eun-yun's comrades, abandons the place and heads towards somewhere beyond the middle realm. In the bright cold realm, all the inhabitants collectively fall into madness. In the purple gold realm, a rebellion erupts outside Banta Castle. In the ancient force realm, the demon race each begin preparing for their final moments. In the Nether Ghost realm, the Black Ghost Valley sets sail their hidden 5,000 nether crossing ships, readying to retrieve the souls of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. And, at the outskirts of the True Devil realm, star-seeking esteemed One Yuan, who had received a request from Seo Eun-hun, wears a mask-like smile and raises something in both hands. It is Su-in and Hong Yian, the heads of the children Seo Eun-yun had asked her to protect. The Sea Dragon King and the Sacred Master of the True Devil realm, Ya-eum, now stripped of ego by Blood Yin, smiles. The Black Dragon King and an entity of one of the concepts of a constellation within the astral realm, Hyeon-eum's incarnation, smiles. The heavenly fiends of the Blood Yin realm all wear identical smiles with their hands clasped behind their backs as they look up at the sky of the Blood Yin realm. Across the entirety of the astral realm, all living beings simultaneously clasp their hands behind their backs and begin smiling in the same direction. The direction they are looking toward is none other than where the Blood Yin realm lies. With the advent of the end, Seo Wei'ol's great plan, the culmination of his life's dedication, begins. Chapter 495. Seo Wei'ol's main body, 1. Boom. I look at the thunder beasts that handed over the key to the next floor and showed absolutely no reaction to me as they were slaughtered. Single quote. Ominous. It hasn't just been one or two times when things have been ominous when I'm with Seo Wei'ol, but this time, the level of ominousness is on another level. If Seo Wei'ol's schemes feel like a suffocating grip tightening around my throat, this ominousness is akin to being thrown to the bottom of the deep sea with nothing but my bare body, watching the oxygen in the tank diminish in real time, while some colossal entity slithers towards me through the dark abyss. More than anything, no matter how extraordinary Seo Wei'ol's tainted soul filling the heavens might be, this is already the 80th floor of the Tower of Trials, and yet, there's no response from Golden Shaking Bird. It's just when I'm thinking this. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Chills. As soon as I step into the 81st floor, I feel chills spreading across my entire body. Pajik, pajijijik. The lightning of heaven and earth trembles, and an ominous feeling flashes through my brain. At the same time, I suddenly feel an uncontrollable desire to create banners, fan, and admire them. A primal urge towards banners surges maddeningly within me. Suddenly, banners seem so lovely. This is crunch, lightning, banners, and a primal urge for banners. There is only one entity associated with those terms. Heavenly Lightning Banner, Zhengli. The moment I think of her, I feel an insane urge to shout, Zhengli, and I clamp my hand over my mouth. Did Zhengli who descended upon the lightning sacred sea last time do something? Damn it, I absolutely must not call that name. Suddenly, an image flashes through my mind of the thunder beasts who were just moments ago quietly in a posture of prayer, offering devotions toward something. It wasn't because they were controlled by tainted soul filling the heavens. Could it be, recalling the nightmare of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I decide to rise even faster to the higher floors. Regardless of this or that, what I must do remains the same. instantly rising to the 98th floor while shattering through the thunder beasts, I, stepping on to the 99th floor. Arrive at the place where the Thunder Bee Queen should be and look around. In the far distance, I see a planet-sized tree with a hive hanging from its branches. I quickly head inside the hive, and as soon as I enter, I see thunder bees in the same prayer posture as the other thunder beasts. I head towards the center of the hive, the place where the entering Nirvana stage Thunder Bee Queen resides. And immediately, I confirm her condition. Pajik, Pajijijijik. Her pupils are devoid of light and she endlessly mumbles prayers towards some direction. With each and every line of her blasphemous ritual prayer, the surrounding space ripples. I realize the nature of the prayer that this entering Nirvana stage Thunder Beast is endlessly reciting while half bewitched. It is a ritual prayer of returning, Gui. Murmur. We return to thee, we return to thee, we return to thee. A prayer-like sound, akin to the cacophony of countless roaring voices, is flowing from her mouth. Crunch. I immediately paralyze the part of my soul responsible for hearing. If I keep listening, I too will be eroded, transformed into a lightning sacred body and forced to suffer a curse that follows me through regression like before. Co. I grind my teeth and realize where that bastard has led me. I don't know when, but at some point, lightning sacred sea started being eroded by the owner of heavenly punishment. And Co must have known about this and still sent me here. As expected, I can't trust that snake scorpion bastard. Grinding my teeth, I briefly contemplate. Then, I come to a conclusion. For now, I'll still continue rescuing Jeon Myung-hoon. Regardless, the end is coming soon. I have to try something before that happens. Moreover, the fact that Golden Shaking Bird kidnapped Jeon Myung-hoon and showed no concern for the end might mean it's possible to avoid it in the lightning sacred sea. Therefore, preparing to flee from here recklessly would only be a poor move. Retreating now would be the worst decision. I need to push through and find Jeon Myung-hoon. Even, in the worst case scenario, I can always call upon the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Resolving myself firmly, I reach out towards the Thunder Bee Queen. Piercing into the area where her heart should be, I pull out the key to the 100th floor from within her body. Pasasasasa. In an instant, the door to the 100th floor opens, and a familiar scene comes into view. It is the Great Desolate Path. A massive celestial sphere like young sun floats in the sky, moving about. This is the 100th floor. And, Wu Wang, I close my eyes and expand my consciousness. At the same time, a halo appears behind my head. It is a wheel-shaped halo. Through rotation, I'll locate the entrance to the hidden space. Up until the star-shattering stage, one is still a star or constellation. In other words, a tangible object. But from the sacred vessel stage, one begins to transcend tangible objects. Now, my main body is the rotating flow. I have become a part of the universe's flow itself. Keying, are you there? Unleashing mental speech, I throw a fist towards a point in the void. Quang. The space crumples, shaking the entirety of the 100th floor. Crack. In an instant, I create an entrance leading to the 101st floor and step through. Pot. This place. I see. I realize I'm now outside the Tower of Trials. Below me lies the enormous Tower of Trials, and further below stretches an endless blue great sea. Above, the sky unfolds like an infinite blue dome sky. This is the 101st floor of the lightning sacred sea. Though it's called the 101st floor of the Tower of Trials, in reality, it's just a space that gradually grows, further away, from the tower's center. It's not really a next floor, in the traditional sense. I scan my surroundings, staying on high alert in case Golden Shaking Bird ambushes me. Fortunately, Golden Shaking Bird doesn't make any moves against me. She might already be busy, preparing against the erosion of heavenly punishment. If that's the case, onward to the next floor. Quang. I break through the door to the 102nd floor again. When I reach the 102nd floor, the Tower of Trials appears even smaller. From its previous towering size, it seems to have shrunk to the size of a two-story building. And the endless great sea that had stretched to infinity now seems to reveal its distant edges. Not here either. Crack. 103rd floor. The Tower of Trials has now shrunk to the size of an adult man's body, and the great sea where the tower once stood has become a small pond. The surroundings are shrouded in strange mist, and nothing beyond the mist can be sensed. Step. Beyond the mist lies the 104th floor. Recognizing this, I walk towards the mist, trying to move through it. Yet, no matter how far I walk, I realize that I am not distancing myself from the Tower of Trials at all. I see. It may seem like a trivial space, but, in reality, is it compressing a distance spanning hundreds of millions of light years? However, I have no intention of struggling over such trivial matters. Wing. I activate the wheel floating behind my head. The name of this wheel, Loon, is still unknown to me. However, what's certain is that this wheel is a type of a powerful immortal art. And the ability of this wheel is precisely rewrite Gai Bian. The power to temporarily reset phenomena as I perceive them. Of course, this is only a fragment of the true authority wielded by the wheel, but for now, it is more than sufficient. I declare, rewrite the space before my eyes. Kiriririk. The wheel begins to spin. Simultaneously, the mist before me dissipates, and I instantly arrive at the 104th floor. As I thought, this is the 104th floor. Emerging from the mist, I find myself in a familiar garden. Looking back, I see the small stone pagoda in the shape of the Tower of Trials, situated in a small pond. This is the management space of the lightning sacred sea, where Golden Shaking Bird had first brought me. Remaining cautious of Golden Shaking Bird, I examine my surroundings. Not here either. She is not here. I rise to the pavilion where Golden Shaking Bird once guided me. I don't sense her presence anywhere in this entire garden. That must mean she's on the next floor. Closing my eyes briefly at the center of the pavilion, I am able to perceive the entirety of the lightning sacred sea. I see. Are these the methods to proceed to the next floors? Within the pavilion, I discern the methods to proceed to the 105th floor, 106th floor, 107th floor, and finally the 108th floor which Xiao Wei'ol mentioned. After grasping these methods, I exit the pavilion and draw forth attraction force. Kugugugek. With attraction force, I tear open a crack in the void and leap into it. The method to proceed to the 105th floor is to ascend from the 104th floor. Just like ascending to the middle realms, I grab hold of a massive attraction force from within the crack in the lightning sacred sea and cling to it. Unlike true ascension, the ascension within the lightning sacred sea is brief. Pot. This place is. Looking below, I see a vast continent stretching beneath me. Fields of red poppies are blooming profusely throughout the land. And in the center of that continent lies the garden where I had just been moments ago. Turning around, I see a sacred immortal palace floating in the air with faint lightning flowing around it. The lightning consists primarily of two colors, red and gold. What's peculiar is that the red lightning blooms into the shape of poppies in the void before vanishing. This palace isn't the end. I see stairs at the back of the palace, leading to an even farther and higher sky, and confirm what lies at the end of those stairs. At the very end of the stairs is another immortal palace where only red lightning courses. I recall the knowledge I acquired about each floor in the 104th floor pavilion, the management space of the lightning sacred sea. That place is the 106th floor. And it was said that Yangsu Jin's treasure vault can be reached by passing through the poppy fragrance labyrinth, Yingxiang Migong, within the 106th floor. I step into the 105th floor. The immortal palace of red gold lightning. This palace of red gold lightning feels strangely familiar. I see. The layout is identical to the structures of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. To be precise, the arrangement of the halls, rooms, and furniture in this immortal palace matches perfectly with those of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Observing the subtle flow of attraction force and faith throughout everything within the immortal palace, I deduce that it is likely some kind of altar designed to attempt replacing one's fate. At the same time, I notice a stone tablet inscribed with extremely familiar writing. English. For some reason, the entire text is written in uppercase letters. As I roughly interpret the phrases, I come to understand their meaning. It is a method to wield one of the authorities possessed by the lightning sacred sea in the Tower of Trials. And the authority described here is none other than the way to completely grind Golden Shaking Bird to dust. If this method is used, Golden Shaking Bird will be shredded into hundreds of millions of tiny thunder beasts and utterly annihilated. No matter what, she was practically your subordinate. Yangsu Jin, why would you leave behind such instructions for future generations to push her this far? Feeling bitter, I commit the formula written in English to memory. At that moment, as I read the very last sentence of the formula, a message left by Yangsu Jin, I involuntarily flinch. The message is short and concise. But for some reason, it stirs a strange feeling within me. May they find peace. Wait, although I need to rise to the 106th floor to confirm Golden Shaking Bird's condition, I find myself unable to take my eyes off the message. Because within that brief message lies the hidden underside of Yang Su Jin's cruelty. Could it mean? I feel like I somewhat understand why Yang Su Jin had embedded Golden Shaking Bird, who had followed him so faithfully, into the lightning sacred sea, grinding her down for uncountable years and tearing her into hundreds of billions of pieces. After staring at the stone tablet for a moment, I leave the immortal palace of red gold lightning and head to the immortal palace of red lightning. I rise to the 106th floor. Pajik, Pajijijijik. As I approach the 106th floor, the ominous feeling weighing heavily on my shoulders grows even stronger. Pajijijijijijijijik. In front of the red lightning immortal palace. I hesitate for a long time, debating whether or not to open the palace door. Beyond this door, I feel an inexplicable and overwhelming sense of foreboding. It's possible that Zhengli has descended here directly. Golden Shaking Bird may have been captured by her, which would explain why she has been unresponsive to me until now. After regulating my breathing for a while in front of the Red Lightning Palace, I push the door open. Even if Zhengli herself is really here, I must save Jian Myonghoon. Kwaggg. The door opens. Then the very next moment, I see a terrifying monster bursting out from within. Kya, it is a monster with thousands, no, hundreds of millions of bird heads. The monster with bird heads and erupting lightning scrambles out of the Red Lightning Palace in a panicked frenzy, fleeing somewhere as if consumed by terror. That just now. I shudder as I realize the identity of the monster that just burst out. The aura emanating from that creature unmistakably belongs to Golden Shaking Bird. What's this? Golden Shaking Bird turned into a monster and ran off as if she had seen something she shouldn't have. Tension builds within me as I cautiously step further inside. Then, I see it. Within that place, Jian Myonghoon is present. Jian Myonghoon, sitting calmly in a lotus position with his upper garment removed, meets my gaze. His hair has grown even longer than before. In fact, his hair half covers the inside of the Red Lightning Palace, which looks like a bed chamber. Jian Myonghoon, are you alright? Are you unharmed? At my words, he smiles faintly. That serene smile, uncharacteristic of Jian Myonghoon, makes me feel an unsettling foreboding. Usually, this kind of expression only appears when infected by Coal. Have you perhaps been possessed by someone? Who are you? At my question, he smirks and rises from his seat. Pajijijik. The surrounding lightning surges around him, and his long hair shortens. Is this okay now? If it's the image from the memory, isn't this the most appropriate? I am Jian Myonghoon. Then, what is it that you treasure most? What I treasure most? That would be the heavenly lightning banner of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect that Golden Divine stole and set up as the divine artifact, wouldn't it? Even nonsense has its limits. Boo-doo-dook. Grinding my teeth, I glare at the figure before me. What Jian Myonghoon treasures the most is Jin Sohei's hand, not something like the heavenly lightning banner. Who are you? Are you an entering nirvana true person? No, that's not it. Are you a comrade thunder beast of Golden Shaking Bird? Get out of Jian Myonghoon's body immediately. Even as the sense foreboding from the entity in front of me feels like it's paralyzing my mind, I resist with all my might and shout at him. A comrade thunder beast of Golden Shaking Bird, huh? I've heard it here and there, but you truly have a talent for entertainment. What? Pajijik. In the next moment, Jian Myonghoon appears right in front of me, gripping my mouth roughly and lifting my body off the ground. I struggle about to escape his grasp, but I quickly realize it's impossible to break free. Golden lightning crackles from Jian Myonghoon's eyes as he smiles faintly. How unpleasant. A mere bug dares to use this immortal. Just what is he? I'm taken aback, but one thing becomes clear. The being before me is, at the very least, at the rank of true immortal. Kugugugugik. This isn't Jian Myonghoon's grip strength. It's when I'm shocked and desperately trying to come up with a way to escape this predicament. Thud. The entity possessing Jian Myonghoon's body suddenly lets go of my face. I collapse to the ground in front of him, coughing violently as I kneel. His rank, it's too vast. To the point I can't possibly resist. Yet the most terrifying thing is that the rank this entity just displayed wasn't even a fraction of his full power. The entity possessing Jian Myonghoon briefly looks down at his own hand, then smiles faintly. I've been had. That one, in the end, orchestrated it so that this immortal would arrive at that place. Their prophecy surpassed this immortal. Haha, with their strength alone, it would have been impossible. They must have borrowed the strength of the oldest one. Muttering these cryptic words, he clicks his tongue and speaks. As the resurrection is still incomplete, this immortal's fate shall be left in your hands for now. Do as you please. I will find my own way out. Quote. Who is the distinguished one? And what do you mean by what you just said? There's nothing to be curious about. That grotesque thing lodged in your chest will soon tell you everything anyway. Just do as you please. After finishing those words, he sits in a lotus position before me, closes his eyes, and completely hides its aura. I watch him for a moment before speaking. Quote. I must save my comrade, Jaeon Myung-hoon. I don't know who the distinguished one is, but you are probably a true immortal similar to the heavenly lightning banner or golden shaking bird. It seems you intend to take over my comrade's body, but I cannot allow that. Therefore, no matter what it takes, I will reclaim my comrade's body. Thud. I place both hands on his shoulders. Surprisingly, he does not resist. No, it seems he doesn't even have the energy to resist. Did he say being in the middle of resurrection? He must be unable to use his strength temporarily while resurrecting inside Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. Being unable to resist, was the do as you please genuine? I can't tell, but regardless of whether it is or isn't, what I must do is already decided. After observing him for a moment, I hoist Jaeon Myung-hoon's body over my shoulder and head towards the Red Lightning Immortal Palace. I make my way to the center of the red bed chamber. The closer I get to the center, the stronger the scent of poppies becomes. They said that passing through the poppy fragrance labyrinth would lead to the treasure vault of Yongsu-jin. Because entering was not allowed for Golden Shaking Bird, she never reached there before. But the moment I arrive at the entrance to the poppy fragrance labyrinth, I immediately realize that I have the qualification to enter. So it opens incredibly easily for one who has mastered the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique. Pasasasasa. Before me, a labyrinth-like space fleetingly reveals itself. But the moment the space comes into contact with the power of my extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, it instantly distorts, transforming into a straight passageway stretching forward. I sprint quickly through the passageway. The scent of poppies wafts from all around, and beyond the scenery, I see some kind of illusion. A figure resembling Yongsu-jin and a white-haired woman are walking through a field of poppies. The two of them, standing at the center of the poppy field, exchange what looks like rings. Single quote. I see. I grasp the purpose of the lightning sacred sea. Aside from the Tower of Trials, the spaces here consist entirely of a bed chamber, a garden, and a flower field. This place was a space created by Yongsu-jin to be with the person he treasures the most. How long do I soar through the poppy fragrance labyrinth where the illusions of Yongsu-jin and the white-haired woman reside? I finally arrive at a new space. Pot. That's it. In a bizarre space that feels like a mix of an illusory dream and being underwater, I reach out towards the familiar auras floating through that space. Pot. The 5 symbols of the middle realms quickly enter the world within my soul. Now, I just need to get out. But when I turn around, the path through the plum fragrance labyrinth that I came through has disappeared completely. What? It's when I'm taken aback. The being possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon offers advice. You cannot return to the previous floors from the 107th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea. That Yongsu-jin created the poppy fragrance labyrinth and this 107th floor to steal his resolve. In other words, it's a structure where you can only move towards the so-called 108th floor from the 107th floor. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I already sensed the path leading to the 108th floor. Damn it, I hesitated because I don't know what scheme Seo Weol is up to, but it seems I'm not in a position to choose anymore. Grinding my teeth, I have no choice but to throw myself towards the 108th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea. Pot. A blinding white light engulfs my vision. Quote. Huh. I look around with a dumbfounded expression. It's familiar. This place is far too familiar. I swing my hand. Kwang. The ceiling of the familiar underground basement is torn away, revealing the surrounding scenery. Quote. Ha. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. At last, I realize where the 108th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea is. And I think I understand why Seo Weol once told me to investigate Yongsu-jin's shrine if I wanted to conquer the Lightning Sacred Sea. Quote. So that's how it is. It was here, the 108th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea. That place is none other than the heaven-treading desert of the Head Realm. Beneath Yuan Li's Black Castle. Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. Astral realm. At one location within the astral realm, in the constellation of Hyonium. There, Seo Whale opens his eyes wide. Quote. It's done. He rises from his seat, spreading his arms with a smile. Finally, Seo Ran has returned to the head realm. Chiok. With a faint smile, he forms a hand seal. Chiok, 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 Chiok. All the Seo Whales scattered throughout the sun and moon heavenly domains simultaneously begin to form hand seals. At the same time, the same phrase bursts forth from the mouths of all the Seo Whales in unison. Activate. Tainted soul filling the heavens. Chapter 496. Seo Whale's main body 2. Before Seo Un-yun reaches the 107th floor, the gazes of the Seo Whales, who have activated tainted soul filling the heavens, extend beyond the entire universe and reach the blood yin realm. And, the heavenly fiends of the blood yin realm that have been infected by Seo Whale without even the birds and mice noticing. Those heavenly fiends, standing with their hands clasped their backs and faintly smiling, begin to crumble. Paysack, paysack, paysack. The heavenly fiends disintegrate. At the same time, the Seo Whales within them begin to be consumed. By consuming the heavenly fiends that could be called the authority of Blood Yin themselves begins to be brainwashed. Failed creation. How dare you look down on a true immortal with such ridicule? A grand and majestic voice erupts from the very origin of the Blood Yin realm, spreading across the entire universe. Just because you slightly tainted this immortal's vassals, just because you slightly tainted this immortal's constellation, just because you crawled your way up before this immortal using this immortal's authority, did you think it's possible for a mere failure to devour this immortal? Do. The voice of the Blood Yin, tinged with rage, seems to scatter throughout the entirety of the sun and moon heavenly domain. How miserable. For a fragment that isn't even this immortal's leftover. For a failure made from that fragment to ridicule this immortal like this, oh how miserable it is. 50 true persons within the sun and moon heavenly domain who did not join the path of stars and have been maintaining their consciousness with clarity, simultaneously conceal their light entirely. Until now, the quasi-immortals who have maintained their consciousness and exerted their efforts to spy on the nether ghost realm, all at once extinguish their consciousness as if by a prearranged promise and enter into slumber. This immortal is Yu Hao Te, the one who possesses the memories of the former chief judge of the netherworld. Now a true immortal who holds the authority seat of vice in their grasp. The owner of the Blood Yin realm, true immortal Blood Yin descends into the sun and moon heavenly domain. You bug, unable even to shake off the curse left by this immortal's replacement. I shall make you know your place. Shwa. At the same time, it seems as though all the stars across the sun and moon heavenly domain begin to be shrouded in red mist. I, Yu Hao Te, hereby declare in the name of Vice Day. Quirururururu. Simultaneously, blood begins to flow from the eyes of all the Seo Whales scattered throughout the sun and moon heavenly domain. To the sinner judged by the current chief judge, Yama True Lord Yanmo Zhenjun, I deliver subsequent judgment. Sinner Seo Whale, hear my words. Quirurarik. One of the galaxy clusters within the sun and moon heavenly domain where they have descended. Blood mist begins to converge towards it from all directions. As the blood mist coalesces in the void, it takes on the form of a scroll the size of a small galaxy. Quiruric. The scroll unfurls. Upon it, evil deeds are inscribed. These evil deeds are the sins committed under the name of the entity known as Seo Whale. Just when Blood Yin is about to resoundingly recite Seo Whale's evil deeds within the sun and moon heavenly domain that is facing the end. Wo Wang. From the constellation of Hyonium, a gloomy laughter can be heard. How amusing you are, oh, Blood Yin. While you look down on me as a bug, for what reason did you break your seclusion from healing the wounds inflicted by the owner of light and descend into the astral realm? Why would you recklessly invoke the authority of vice in a state where you are incomplete in order to capture a failure like me? You, Blood Yin roars. However, the reply that comes from the distant constellation only mocks Blood Yin further, exposing their true hidden thoughts. It must be because you are afraid of me. Isn't that right, Blood Yin? Not knowing what corrupted me in the head realm, not knowing what kind of ominous power I obtained there that allowed me to escape your control and taint the entirety of the sun and moon heavenly domain. It is because of that ignorance, because of that fear of the unknown, that you are unleashing all your power. Ho ho. Let the judgment begin. Ignoring the voice transmitted from the distant constellation. Ignoring Seo Whale's voice, Blood Yin tries to imbue power into the scroll. But just then, your shamefulness is the very reason for your defeat, Blood Yin. Kuguguguguguk. From deep within blood yin, something struggles madly as if trying to break free. Kwajijijijik. Blood yin's body, the blood yin realm, turns upside down in chaos. At the same time, a purple dragon lets out a roar from within. No longer can I endure. The neck must be hanged. The neck must be hanged. The neck must be hanged. It is the first sea dragon king, whose true devil realm was invaded by blood yin thousands of years ago and ultimately devoured. The personality of Ya-Eum, through Seo Whale's tainted soul filling the heavens, is temporarily released. Pot. A man clad in dark red robes and adorned with dark red horns appears right in front of blood yin with a gentle smile gracing his face. You are not Yu Haote. Merely a madman who believes themselves to be Yu Haote. Shutup. The entire universe shakes from blood yin's wrath. Yet, despite their rage, the man with the gentle expression before them, Seo Whale, remains beyond their reach. It is because of the purple dragon rampaging within their body. Yet, despite it all, you made countless vile efforts to become Yu Haote. For example, to sever the name that lofty dragon and Sei-Eum carved into your soul, you combined the informational body of Black Dragon with lofty dragon's power to create Hyeon-Eum. By cutting away the contradictions Maodun buried deep within your soul, those that deny your very existence, you turned them into the fragment of Hyeon-Eum and created another clone, Ya-Eum, an entity independent of the Black Dragon. Ho ho, ho hoo 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 hoo. Don't you think it's laughable? Vile, vile, utterly vile. That, Ya-Eum, you severed, was, in the end, Yu Haote's dignity, Jinkai, that resided within you. Disgusted by how vile they had become, and harboring rebellious intent toward you, blood yin, that Ya-Eum is Yu Haote's heart demon. I am Yu Haote's dignity. Ya-Eum is ultimately a part of this immortal. Because this immortal is Yu Haote. Then, regarding the shout involving them, a response comes from Ya-Eum raging within blood yin. Shut up. Yu Haote is dead. You are blood yin, and I am merely Ya-Eum. Please, just stop now. Please stop these vile acts and stop desecrating the noble Yu Haote of the past. Please, just hang yourself. I am Yu Haote. Do. Crimson energy emanating from blood yin wildly engulfs the surrounding galaxies. It's as if the entire universe is about to face destruction because of their thrashing. Do you think the likes of you can defeat this immortal, who holds the authority seat of vice? Do you think you bugs can stand against Yu Haote, the highest confidant of the oldest one who stands at the zenith of the 3,000 great thousand worlds? I am Yu Haote. Undeniable by anyone, the great. It's at that moment, Seo Whale smiles faintly and pulls something from his robe. Chief Judge is none other than I. Seeing what Seo Whale has revealed, blood yin stops thrashing and stares wide-eyed. What Seo Whale has taken out is none other than the heavenly lotus fruit. Specifically, it is the true heavenly lotus fruit that Seo Eun-yun had sent to Kong Min-hee's possession. It is the fruit of true immortals that Seo Whale had obtained by intervening in Kong Min-hee's advancement ritual. Seo Whale smiles faintly and forms a hand seal. Curse of tainted soul killing sight. From his hand, a devilish spell that reveals the truth the opponent most refuses to accept, through the traces of soul and history bursts forth. Pasasasik. As the heavenly lotus fruit crumbles into pieces, it projects a scene from a distant place into the space before them. And, beyond that scene, blood yin locks eyes with someone resting under the shadow of a melia tree. I am Yu Haote. Yu Haote. The presence beneath the melia tree begins to speak. Simultaneously, Ya-Eum, who has been rampaging inside blood yin, begins to expand crazily and wreaks utter havoc as if about to devour the entirety of the blood yin realm. Blood yin's true body begins to collapse. Yet, even as Ya-Eum's rampages, blood yin merely trembles without resistance, staring at the figure seated beyond the revealed scene. Pasasasa. Moments later, the scene projected beyond the heavenly lotus fruit, summoned by Seo Whale through tainted soul killing sight, shatters. And blood yin begins to wail. Ah, ooh, ga. As if struck by a shock so severe it shatters the mind, they wail and thrash about uncontrollably as if gone insane. Kurururun. In the blood yin realm, Ya-Eum suppresses blood yin's convulsions while shedding tears alongside them. Pitiful one, let us fall asleep now. Seo Whale will lull us to sleep. Cause in effect was that not the favorite saying of Yu Haote? We are merely reaping the results of the evil deeds we have sown. Kugugugugu. Seo Whale's lips stretch into a grotesque smile. Soon after, Seo Whale begins to expand his form as he faces the half-mad blood yin. The darkness of the universe begins to converge towards Seowaol. Having completely devoured the Black Dragon King Hyeon-eum, Seowaol descends before Blood Yin through Hyeon-eum's true body. Ya-eum suppresses Blood Yin's body, while the enlarged wicked owner of tainted soul filling the heavens opens his mouth wide towards Blood Yin. Quaduduk. Just when Hyeon-eum sinks its fangs into Blood Yin's true body. Pasasasa. The darkness forming Hyeon-eum's body collapses, leaving behind only the 2,401 stars that form the informational body of the Black Dragon King Hyeon-eum. Seowaol, consuming the personality of the Black Dragon King Hyeon-eum that he controls, begins to brainwash Blood Yin. A short time later, Kugugugugu, the Blood Yin realm's violent convulsions subside completely. Simultaneously, the Blood Yin realm compresses in size, and from one of the 2,401 stars' positions, an incarnation descends. The incarnation of Blood Yin is a man with a gentle face, clad in a dark red long robe. He bears the face of Seowaol. As expected of a true immortal. Tainted soul filling the heavens will be released soon. Even after consuming the entirety of the Black Dragon King Hyeon-eum, a being with the resistance that will soon break free from the brainwashing. That is a true immortal. Though they raved madly while falsely claiming to be Yu Hao-tae, and even became perhaps the most disgraceful true immortal in Mount Sumeru, that is Blood Yin. Yet Seowaol merely smiles faintly, gazing somewhere far off with an expression utterly unconcerned. Well, it doesn't matter. Snap. Simultaneously, across all the middle realms. The esteemed ones residing within the middle realms begin to smile faintly in union. The sacred masters who were forming refuge spaces alongside the esteemed ones initially frown as if resisting, but soon start smiling faintly as well. Under the activation of Seowaol's simplified tainted soul filling the heavens, the entire sun and moon heavenly domain is instantly brainwashed. As expected, it's difficult with just the simplified version against sacred masters or esteemed ones. The sacred masters and esteemed ones, while it will take longer than Blood Yin, will probably still manage to free themselves from tainted soul filling the heavens within half a year or so. However, Seowaol shows no sign of concern. Now, everything will soon end. Sururuk. A short while later, Seowaol emerges from a hidden spot within the constellation of Hyeon-eum and gazes towards the direction of the lightning sacred sea, a smile spreading across his face. His plan has all come to fruition. Seo-ran has at last reached the head realm. A path truly long and seemingly endless. Seowaol smiles brightly and spreads his arms wide and murmurs as if proclaiming to the entire universe. Activate. Tainted soul filling the heavens. Kugugugugu. At that very moment, the attraction force of the entire universe reaches its peak, and the universe begins to contract. The end begins, and the tainted soul filling the heavens that has infected the entirety of the sun and moon heavenly domain activates. Its target lies within the interdimensional void of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Located in the central upper part between the 5 middle realms and the most ominous land in the 3,000 great thousand worlds. It is the head realm, the skull of some being. Ohai Seo appears next to Seowaol and extracts the souls from the skulls of Su-in and Hong Yian. Finally, Seowaol activates the plan he had begun devising 40,000 years ago. Kuguguguging. The attraction force of the entire universe begins to converge toward the head realm. Kugugugugugu. I stare at the sky of the head realm with a dumbfounded expression. It's a familiar darkness. Looking at the entity with that revolting heart essence, I finally understand Seowaol's true purpose. Brainwashing, the head realm. Is that your goal, Seowaol? With a dumbfounded expression, I fix my gaze towards the center of the head realm's sky. To the ascension gate within Ascension Path. The ascension gate that is normally closed forcibly opens, and from it, a brainwashing wave as vast as the combined entirety of the universe envelops the head realm. Seo-ran. Then, I see Seo-ran screaming in agony. Seo-ran. Boo-wang. A certain halo appears behind Seo-ran's head. In agony, he utters someone's name. Uaarg. It is the halo of the heavenly circle, obtained during the heavenly being stage. The circle symbolizing acceptance at fate's end. Cao Zhongming. Astral realm, the location where Seowaol resides. Around him, 4 axes emerge. Health, wealth, longevity, and love of virtue. The acceptance at fate's end of the head realm, and the 4 axes of the astral realm. Seowaol forms a hand seal, his smile disappearing as he adopts a solemn expression, and declares. Then, from this moment on, heaven and earth unity shall begin. Chapter 497. Seowaol's main body 3. The very first existence of me began approximately 60,000 years before the collective ascension of the three great sects and the demon race. At that time, I was activated by blood yin. However, the me of that time was not the me of now. I was merely an existence that operated unemotionally and monotonously, like a mechanical device. Without any doubts or anguish, I simply executed commands whenever Ya-Eum, the split soul of blood yin, inputted orders. 40,000 years ago, I flowed down to the lower realm. There, under Ya-Eum's orders, I began searching for what blood yin desired most. The authority seat of Yu Hao Te, divided into vice and virtue. The other half of the seat of vice. I was essentially activated by blood yin to find it. However, the me of that time was not the me of now. The plan to devour blood yin, spending hundreds of billions of years covering the sun and moon heavenly domain with purple soul filling the heavens, Ya-Eum's plan to ultimately annihilate blood yin's persona, began during that time. Even though I was central to Ya-Eum's plan, the me with an autonomous persona did not yet exist then. The point at which I became me came slightly later. The birth of the current me that occurred approximately 4,000 years before the collective ascension. It happened during the communication work of the Yuan clan under blood yin's command. At that time, the Yuan clan, through the sea dragon race, which bore Ya-Eum's bloodline, attempted to communicate with virtue, that is, the authority seat Quan Zuo of good deeds. Together with the fragments hidden in the head realm, I was born as me. Born. Some may call that word a blessing, but for me, it's different. To me, birth is nothing short of the most horrific curse imaginable. From the moment I was born, I emerged in a place more wretched than hell itself. After experiencing a brief moment of happiness, I had to endure torment akin to that of hell. It was such unbearable agony that I had no choice but to disassemble and reassemble myself, transforming into a configuration devoid of heart. However, it was precisely because I endured that pain that I was able to be completely born. The true nature of me is none other than purple soul filling the heavens that reached the domain of immortal arts. As that purple soul filling the heavens merged with the fragments in the head realm and became corrupted, within that corruption, what arose from the mind being turned into configurations is none other than tainted soul filling the heavens. That is what I am now. An existence that, from the moment of birth, was someone else's immortal art. But an immortal art that came to possess a personality. In other words, I am ultimately an existence that is itself an immortal art, a sacred vessel. And not just any sacred vessel, but a type of innate Tai Sheng sacred vessel. Yet, born in agony so unbearable that no mortal could withstand it, dismantling my own mind and heart and rearranging them into configurations to become tainted soul filling the heavens, I came to loathe the world with an indescribable intensity. Thus, within the flames of agony, hatred, and loathing that could set the world ablaze, I set a single purpose. Kugugugugu. The sky is filled with brainwashing waves. Cool. Just what are you? It was while I stand dumbfounded, staring up at the sky. Someone possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon smirks and speaks. In my opinion, it would be best for you to quickly kill yourself. What do you mean by that? It's just that, this place is far too dangerous for anyone at the star-shattering stage and above. Since you're already inside the jaws, escape will be difficult. The brainwashing waves crash down with overwhelming force towards where we are. I hurriedly take Jaeon Myung-hoon and Seo Ran on my back and flee. Pot. Using spatial movement, I instantly flee to the northern grasslands, but I flinch in shock. The massive waves of brainwashing energy that had struck the heaven-treading desert are now surging toward us. Is it chasing us? No, that's not it. They're heading towards the Liberation Seal. At those words, I step slightly aside from the trajectory of the brainwashing waves, which pass us by and head straight towards the northernmost end, where the Serving Command Palace has appeared. Serving Command Palace? But why? No, wait, more importantly. Did you just read my thoughts? Living beings, even when completely free from the limits of their physical bodies, can't seem to shake the habit of thinking in electrical signals. Well, of course, even if it's not electrical signals, as long as you haven't completely transcended yin and yang, it's possible to read them. It seems that, much like Zhengli, who specializes in lightning, this being can read or manipulate the brain's electrical signals. If you're that extraordinary, please do something to help my comrade Seo Ran. What is happening to him? I turned to Seo Ran, who was suddenly projecting the heavenly circle of acceptance at fate's end behind his head while screaming someone's name in an unintelligible pronunciation. At my words, that being briefly turns his face towards where Seo Ran is. For some reason, that being has his eyes closed and doesn't even spread out his consciousness domain, yet it feels as though he is perceiving Seo Ran through some other sense. The being who observes Seo Ran for a moment shakes his head. There's an immortal art protecting his mind and turning his whole being into an object. Yes, indeed, it's the immortal art GWAKM had cast on him, later repaired by Yuo after it was broken. And Yuo had mentioned that this immortal art would break when in the presence of a great existence. Wait, if that's the case. How unpleasant. A mere bug dares to use this immortal. I recall the words spoken by the entity possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. At the same time, I realized that Seo Weol had a purpose in bringing me into the lightning sacred sea. Single quote. I see. Seo Weol had noticed something wrong with Jaeon Myung-hoon in the lightning sacred sea. And inside Jaeon Myung-hoon, someone is reviving. If I entered the lightning sacred sea with Seo Ran, he must have anticipated that the someone and Seo Ran would meet, causing the immortal art cast by GWAKM on Seo Ran to break. I now understand why the entity possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon's body had said it was unpleasant. As if reading my thoughts again, the being's eyes glimmer as he smiles. You're a perceptive one. The immortal art cast on him has been broken. Thanks to that, it seems they're reconnecting. Are you saying Seo Weol and Seo Ran are connecting? I take a deep breath and kneel before him. Quote. Please, if you are capable of repairing this immortal art, I beg you to do so and save Seo Ran. He is my comrade. As for your taking over the body of my comrade, Jaeon Myung-hoon, I will overlook it, for now. Please, I implore you. How audacious. For now, you say. That is. No. I grit my teeth and glare at him. However, an unexpected reply comes from his lips. This immortal does not know such ancient immortal arts. Since it is an immortal art unknown to this immortal, it cannot be repaired. It is fundamentally impossible to grant your request. That, it's an immortal art that even the sacred master of the nether ghost realm can perform, so why? Kukik, kuhuhuhu, sacred master, nether ghost realm, as if finding something incredibly amusing from my words, he lets out a low laugh. Seeing as you keep spouting nonsense, it's clear you haven't yet realized your fate. Well, considering how many talentless fools only realize it when advancing to true immortality, it's not all that unusual. In any case, it's impossible for this immortal. By manipulating the electrical signals you mentioned earlier, is it not possible to help Seo Ran? Recalling how Zhengli manipulated the electrical signals in the brains of the entire Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to distort perception, I desperately plead with him. However, he shakes his head once again. In this place, it is impossible. Pardon, what do you mean by that? Quote. You don't need to know. For now, I will remain as hidden as a dead mouse here. He gazed far into the distance, towards the northernmost end where Seo Weol's brainwashing waves are heading to the serving command palace. Then, glancing briefly to the right, he speaks. Quote. Beware of the light. No matter what you think, no matter what you predict, they are a sinister existence that surpasses imagination. This is the only answer I will give you. Quote. Quote. What's this? For some reason, it doesn't feel like he's talking to me. It feels as though his words are directed not at me, who is standing right next to him, but at someone else entirely. But I can no longer ask him anything. Pasasic. Quote. Quote. Jaeon Myung-hoon's body begins to distort as if becoming yin and yang themselves, disintegrating into tens, hundreds, thousands of taiji symbols before scattering everywhere. A wind blowing westward carries the traces of yin and yang far off into the western distance. The traces of yin and yang seem to distort towards the western end, where the main sect of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is located, and then vanishes into the void. I grit my teeth as I stare briefly at the spot where he vanished. What a completely useless existence. In the end, all he did was steal Jaeon Myung-hoon's body and flee somewhere without offering any help to Seo Ran. Although I'm furious that Jaeon Myung-hoon's body was taken, for now, I focus on Seo Ran, gripping his shoulders and shaking him, trying to do anything to help. Get a hold of yourself, Seo Ran. Remember, you are Seo Ran, don't lose yourself. UGHGHGKK. Bloodshot veins appear in Seo Ran's eyes. He grits his teeth. He clenches them so tightly that blood flows from his gums. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. In the distance, the serving command palace begins to move. From the serving command palace, saturated with CO whales brainwashing waves, an immense flood of brainwashing waves starts to amplify. What? The brainwashing waves literally begin to engulf the entire sky. Seeing this, I realize something. The spell formation that is at the very top of the serving command palace, is it that? Then, I recall the ritual locations CO whale had revealed during the 15th cycle. Ascension Path, Black Castle, Serving Command Palace, and Sea Dragon Palace. That bastard had definitely said that he had already conducted the 4-axis advancement ritual in those places. And the Sea Dragon Palace unmistakably has a structure designed for some sort of ritualistic purpose. CO whales brainwashing waves emanated from the Ascension Gate on Ascension Path, pierced through the Black Castle, and headed towards the Serving Command Palace. In that case, the next destination must be Sea Dragon Palace. There's no other place it could be. If I want to save CO Ran, I need to stop whatever CO whale is doing. Just as I attempt to pull CO Ran back into my domain, I suddenly sense an overwhelming surge of resistance and realize that CO Ran is not entering my domain. What? Why isn't he suddenly entering my domain? I'm taken aback, but now is not the time to dwell on it. Hastily holding CO Ran, I use the ground shrinking technique. It's then, Quadatang, Kuhuk, Thud. One moment we are in the northern grasslands, but the next, we are hurled into the heaven-treading desert, directly beneath Ascension Path. Normally, we should have directly reached the Sea Dragon Palace. The ground shrinking technique was cancelled. This is, I understand what's happening. My instincts are rejecting the use of any spells. From the deepest depths of my unconsciousness, a sense of repulsion rises. In the head realm, spells must not be used. Why? What is the meaning of this? My instincts are warning me to not use spells in the head realm. Ridiculous. I don't have time right now. My consciousness trembles from me forcibly trying to cast a spell. But just then, crack, exclamation mark. Kua. I clutch my head and collapse on the spot. Heok. My conscious domain begins to rampage. Simultaneously, my consciousness begins to read the surroundings uncontrollably. As heaven and earth's spiritual energy reverses, the scene of the heavenly treading desert. The history of Ascension Path begins to be read. And among the scenes of history of Ascension Path, one image etches itself into my mind. Esteemed One, star-shattering stage. It is a star-shattering stage, Esteemed One. At the same time, the heavenly fiends of the Blood Yin realm come into view. They are pouring into the head realm through the Ascension Gate. The Esteemed One, exuding blood devilish energy of the Blood Yin realm, descends above the Ascension Path and searches for something. Then, their gaze lands on a certain place. It is none other than the shrine constructed of massive black ore. Since the shrine is positioned directly in front of the Ascension Gate, it is not difficult to find. The Esteemed One of the Blood Yin realm, with their monstrous form, swings one hand without hesitation. The shrine of Yongsu Jin is ripped from its place and flung far outside Ascension Path. The shrine crashes into the heaven-treading desert outside Ascension Path and embeds itself there, leaving only the topmost layer exposed above the desert sands. And the part of that shrine happens to be the Black Castle I am familiar with. Immediately after, the Esteemed One of the Blood Yin realm lets out an eerie scream and overturns the entirety of Ascension Path. The vacant space where Yongsu Jin's shrine once stood is shoved to one side of Ascension Path. The Esteemed One of the Blood Yin plane laughs, as though they feel schadenfreude. Then, the Esteemed One extends a hand to erase even the fragmented half of Yongsu Jin's warning plaque that had been torn apart by their single strike moments earlier. At that moment, the Esteemed One's consciousness begins to spiral out of control. The Esteemed One suddenly looks up at the sky. In the next moment, the Esteemed One starts screaming, as if they witnessed something unimaginably horrifying and terrifying. The same Esteemed One who had just violently ripped Yongsu Jin's shrine apart now weeps like a child, clutching their head and trembling with pain and despair. Their figure looks as if they had gazed upon something unbearable and gone insane. Pot, Kuhayak, Hehuk, Heok, it's only now that I understand why my instincts have been warning me. I withdraw my consciousness domain entirely and lower my gaze, refusing to look directly at the sky. In my opinion, it would be best to quickly kill yourself. It's just that, this place is far too dangerous for anyone at the star-shattering stage and above. I now understand why a being presumed to be a true immortal kept there. Consciousness domain contracted and their eyes tightly shut. I must not look. I must not use any power. The current me absolutely cannot do such things. I realize I must not recklessly peek at the sky of the head realm, expand my consciousness domain, or use any spells. Doing so could lead to an end more miserable than death. If that's the case, then CO ran. I carry CO ran on my back. Afterward, I use only my senses to determine the direction and, with my eyes on the ground, propel myself forward by kicking off the earth. Kwang, the physical abilities I possess, having reached the sacred vessel stage, are more than sufficient on their own. With a single kick, I shoot forward like a meteor, reaching the sea beneath the heaven-treading desert. Looking at the reflection of CO whales brainwashing waves on the surface of the sea, I observe and read the flow of those waves. As expected, it's heading toward the Sea Dragon Palace. Sprinting at full force and determined to shatter the Sea Dragon Palace, I deploy water-traversing steps ever faster and move across the sea. Just hold on a little longer. CO ran. In the distance, the southern end of the head realm comes into view. With CO ran still on my back, I prepare to dive. But it seems that's unnecessary. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. The Sea Dragon Palace is surfacing. Do-do-do-do. It's rising up. Coo. Careful not to look directly at the sky, I follow the Sea Dragon Palace's straight ascent from underwater, chasing it as it rises toward the sky. Tingle, tingle. However, as time passes, my body starts stiffening, my head begins to ache, and an indescribable flow of knowledge seems to pour into me, forcing out a groan. Heok, heok, thump, thump. My heartbeat gradually quickens, and strength drains from my body. Of course, even in this condition, I continue crossing the sea swiftly, but it's clear that my strength is waning. Is this the head realm? Just by keeping my eyes open, my vision gradually starts to warp, and I feel the terrifying gaze of some unfathomable being upon me. This place is far too dangerous for anyone at the star-shattering stage and above. He didn't close his eyes and say such things for no reason. Struggling with all my strength, I force myself to continue using void steps with my eyes shut, rising towards the Sea Dragon Palace. I intend to ram it with my body and destroy it entirely. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. The Sea Dragon Palace, which has been rising in a straight line, finally reaches the upper sky. It arrives at the astronomical observatory of the Sea Dragon race and merges with it. Only then does it come to a stop. That place is. I grit my teeth tightly. That place is where the last remains of Cheongman Ryong are located. If I charge straight into it, his remains could be shattered. It is an absolute salt pillar that turns everything that touches into salt, but now that I have reached the sacred vessel stage, I instinctively feel that I can break it. Clenching my teeth, I kick off the void once more. Master, to save CO Ran, I will honor you in my heart. CO Whale's brainwashing waves converge on the Sea Dragon Palace, and I charge towards it without hesitation. Kwang, with my body slam, the Sea Dragon Palace collapses before the brainwashing waves can reach it, and the astronomical observatory beyond the palace, along with the last remains of Cheongman Ryong, crumbles completely. Ah, the remains of Cheongman Ryong fall. Those remains scatter downward, having turned into nothing more than ordinary salt powder. Perhaps, from the very moment he died in the world of Kunglai Island, Cheongman Ryong's remains had already turned into an ordinary salt pillar. Farewell, Master. I silently pay respects and turn to shout at CO Whale's brainwashing waves. Stand down, snake scorpion bastard. Your objective has already been blocked. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo-goo. At my shout, the surrounding space trembles. Drip. Blood begins to trickle from my 7 orifices. It's because I deliberately mixed spells into my voice, even at the cost of taking damage. Revealing the authority of the sacred vessel stage, I block CO Whale's brainwashing waves. Wing. A wheel manifests behind my head. Quickly, as quickly as possible, I will block CO Whale and escape from the head realm without looking at the sky. For now, that is the best course of action. I declare, your spell shall be rewritten. Keying. I have faced CO Whale's brainwashing waves multiple times before. My understanding of his tainted soul filling the heavens is sufficient, and this immortal art is one that temporarily reconfigures, from what I understand. Therefore, I can manipulate it. Return. Then, a whisper that I cannot possibly deny echoes in my ears. To your origin. It is a voice that sounds all too undeniably correct. Redirecting CO Whale's brainwashing waves back to CO Whale's origin. That is the best method to block CO Whale, who has surged right up to my very eyes. Such a stream of thoughts surfaces in my mind, and the logic behind it is flawless. Thus, I unconsciously follow that whisper and repeat the words aloud. To your origin. At that moment, Pot, Seo Whale's brainwashing waves, suddenly begin to plunge straight into Seo Ran, who is on my back. Seo Whale's brainwashing waves pierce directly into Seo Ran's body. Then, as those waves pass through Seo Ran entirely, the location where the Sea Dragon Palace once stood, it pierces through the southern end and exits beyond the head realm. Immediately after, the entire world turns blindingly white. Ha, I feel as though my mind is clearing for some reason. Do. It seems as if earthquakes and tsunamis are occurring throughout the entire head realm, and a crack suddenly appears across the entirety of the sky. Simultaneously, the phenomenon of the world turning white intensifies, to the point where I can now only see those who are right next to me. As I fall to some unknown place, I find myself face to face with Seo Ran, who, for some reason, is shedding tears. Why are you crying, Seo Ran? I finally remember. He speaks. I remember who the woman in my memory is. He had definitely said that ever since Penglai Island, a certain woman began coming to mind. Who is it? At first, I thought Seo Ran might be recalling someone from Kong Minhe's memories since he had taken on Kong Minhe's role. Later, the possibility arose that he might be Yuo's child, so I wondered if it could have been Yuo. But it is only now that I finally understand exactly who Seo Ran found yearnful, bothersome, annoying, and yet wanted to possess. A woman named Oh Hi Seo. But I do not know who this person is. I suppose so. Clench. As I fall with Seo Ran to some unknown place, I grit my teeth. For some reason, tears stream from my eyes. Because it was you. What? It was you. My body trembles. Not from fear or cold, but from betrayal, sorrow, absurdity, and pity. It is only now that I understand everything. Yuk Rin of the ancient Force realm was, at first, clearly a cold and rational dragon king with no tears or blood. To achieve his own goals, he was an existence that treated Yuk Yo as a chess piece or object. But at some point, Yuk Rin became obsessed with Yuk Yo, desiring to possess her. And Yuk Yo and Baek Rin. He tormented the two lovers as much as possible, trying in every way to separate and inflict pain upon them. Come to think of it, wasn't it strange? Why would the once cold and calculating Dragon King suddenly be consumed by emotions towards Yuk Yo? The answer is all too simple. Because Seo Ran wanted it. I come to understand the reasons behind the seemingly trivial matters that I had never been able to grasp before across my 998 lifetimes. Why did Seo Ran suddenly think of Oh Hi Seo? Why did Seo Whale never kill Seo Ran directly but always attempt to do so indirectly? Why did the chief judge only punish Seo Whale's masks, and not his main body? Why did the owner of Great Mountain kill everyone but specifically devoured only Seo Ran's nascent soul? Why did Seo Ran regain his senses on Penglai Island before I did? Why did Seo Whale, when I said that Seo Ran is my friend, burst out into such uncharacteristic laughter? You were Seo Whale's main body. I understand everything. The pillar of tainted soul filling the heavens. The treasure Seo Whale holds most precious. The soul light I saw within the heart essence of his tainted soul filling the heavens. Only now do I understand why I have always been so easily swayed by Seo Whale. It's because the most powerful core of tainted soul filling the heavens has been right beside me, acting as a friend in my heart. Having the core of tainted soul filling the heavens by my side, I have unknowingly been ensnared in its greatest influence all along. Even if Seo Ran had no intention of doing so. What do you mean? Seo Ran asks with a look of confusion. I look at Seo Ran's face. If I kill you, I can stop Seo Whale's conspiracy. Because you are Seo Whale's greatest weakness. However, tears stream down my face as I grit my teeth. I can absolutely not kill Seo Ran. Therefore, I absolutely cannot kill Seo Whale. Because Seo Ran is. No, because Seo Whale is truly my friend. I can destroy Seo Ran's body here and now, even crush his soul and send him to the underworld. But I release the strength from the hand holding Seo Ran's body. The world has arrived at the end. Seo Whale's plan has succeeded, and whether he brainwashes the head realm or does something else, he will attain what he desires in his grasp. You've won, Seo Whale. In this life, I have no idea what more I can possibly do. I cannot kill my friend. No matter if it's the only way to kill the monster I've hated the most. And so, in the midst of the world that widens and crumbles with the end, I close my eyes, waiting for my 999th return. I thought this would be my 999th death. An old man carrying a flower basket speaks. Oh, annihilation flower. An unimaginably ominous flower begins to bloom from my chest. Open the doors to the audience chamber. The next moment, the widened world blinks into darkness. Chapter 498, Bugs. Who was this again? I stare blankly at the old man holding a flower basket, who has appeared beside me at some point, unable to comprehend who he is. The whole world is covered in darkness. Seo Ran, who stands before me, is crumbling away into the shadows. It's not just Seo Ran. The ominous flower blooming from my chest is deconstructing even myself. The ominous flower is devouring me. I am being consumed by this ominous flower, known as the annihilation flower. And then, as I become one with the annihilation flower, I finally understand. The beings who have transcended the limits and boundaries of true immortals. Regarding the plans of the governing immortals, I can feel the world being annihilated. However, this annihilation is not the same as the end that just occurred moments ago. If the typical end is when the universe's attraction force reaches its peaks, causing everything to contract and compress into light and heat, then the annihilation brought about by this annihilation flower is truly nothing but pure, black darkness. It's not a proper end, but rather an act of simply overlaying the concept of death on the world. Ah, everything has ended. I understand. Now, as everything in my body is absorbed by the annihilation flower and its roots, I become annihilation Miewang itself and come to understand the plan laid out by the being before my eyes, and the plan laid out by those who are with him. Keying, everything in the head realm disappears. The great sea, the heaven-treading desert, the west, the east, the north, everything. All that remains is pitch black darkness and the sun and moon hanging far off in the sky. Is that the true form of the head realms? Sun and moon, it is exactly as described in the diary of the sea dragon race astronomer, Jeon Hyang. The sun and moon of the head realm are fixed in place. It was merely that, when the head realm's world was intact, the flow of yin and yang in the heaven and earth spiritual energy created an optical illusion, making it seem as if day and night alternated. The sun and moon of the head realm merely exist in a position that seems to overlook the entire head realm from a slightly southern direction. Ah, I see. I recall how Seo Whale's brainwashing waves pierced through the sky at the southern end of the head realm and escaped. The place Seo Whale escaped to is the forehead Meijien. The flower basket old man beside me lets out a small exclamation. How astonishing. I thought it was merely the desperate struggle of a bug, and yet, it worked. Ha, ha 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 ha. The desperate struggle of a bug. Seo Whale escaping through the forehead. And that feeling of the mind clearing, at the last moment. The spell cast over the sea dragon palace that clears the mind. Ah, I see now. Finally, I understand what Seo Whale's true purpose is. It's not about brainwashing the head realm. The head realm is not a being that someone like Seo Whale can brainwash. As I gaze at the sun and moon before me, I become even more certain. When Seo Whale seized control of the entire sun and moon heavenly domain, there was only one thing he sought to obtain while manipulating the entire world. To awaken the head realm. I recall the phenomenon from just a moment ago when the world turned white. I thought it was simply the aftermath of the end. But it isn't. The power of annihilation granted to me by the annihilation flower whispers the truth. That phenomenon just now isn't something as simple as the end. It is merely the process of the head realm awakening. If the head realm is a living being, then this living entity currently exerts no influence and is merely in the state of existing. Such a state is often referred to as dreaming by many beings. Seo Whale temporarily cleared the head realm's mind in an attempt to awaken the being that the main bodies of the five middle realms desperately sought to reach. And when a dreaming existence wakes up, the beings within the dream ultimately disappear. The scenery of the world turning white just moments ago. The fact that I was able to fully absorb the candle dragon race as I advanced to the sacred vessel stage. And finally, the claims Seo Whale made in the diary of Jeon Hyang. His claims that only through ascension can we have dignity. Yes, perhaps, because beings within a dream can only attain dignity when stepping outside the dream, Seo Whale may have chosen to lead everyone into collective ascension. It's when I am lost in thought, contemplating such notions. The flower basket old man opens his eyes wide. Staring beyond the darkness, he appears astonished as he looks at the forehead of the sun and moon. The bug has come face to face. Seoweol is doing something with the awakened head realm. Is he now facing something absolute? If so, then, what is it that he is seeing? Afterward, I see a resplendent radiance at the southern end of the world. Thunk, that is the end. Single quote. Huh, I feel something strange. It's bright. The sky is blue, and the earth is green. From far away, the scent of the sea drifts toward me. Single quote. This is nice. Though my body has been obliterated by the annihilation flower, I can still feel senses. For some reason, a drowsy feeling washes over me, making me want to fall asleep. Single quote. But something is strange. Why am I suddenly in a place like this? I dove into the lightning sacred sea to save Jeon Myung-hoon, ended up in the head realm and Seo ran and Seo wail. Suddenly, I realized something strange. Single quote. Who was Seo wail again? Tingle. For some reason, the canvas of myriad forms and connections shakes violently. I ponder for a while about the name, Seo wail, which just came to mind, and finally, I understand. Seo wail is just a type of blue earthworm. Why did I come looking for something like that? It's strange. The canvas of myriad forms and connections is shaking violently like mad. But I can't understand. For some reason, the thought of blue earthworm refuses to leave my mind. Blue earthworm, a medicinal ingredient collectively referred to as Seo. A meager, insignificant worm ground and added when cultivators in the qi refining stage concoct pills, occasionally referred to as Seo. No, that's not right. This is my misunderstanding. Seo is simply a nickname I gave to one of those blue earthworms. Single quote. Why did I give a nickname to a worm? I can't remember. From the very beginning, I can't even recall the origin of the name, Seo. I have no idea what logic led me to even give such a name. What is certain is that Seo is a non-existent term. Right now, instead of wasting time on something so unimportant, I need to focus on the suddenly thrashing canvas of myriad forms and connections, this flower basket old man, and myself, who has become an annihilation flower. Then, I notice the old man with the flower basket trembling violently beside me. He is staring at the sky as if overcome with chills. Single quote. Question mark. What? Just then, he suddenly yells out in a roar. Remember, Zing. His roar stays stuck in my mind. Along with it, together with a shock as if struck in the back of the head, I feel something terrifying rising in my head. The canvas of myriad forms and connections stabilizes. And, with his single word, I recall everything I had forgotten up until now. The name of the true immortal whom I met on the lowest floor of the serving command arc in the past, Bong Myong. The black dragon I encountered through the black dragon true blood, the name Yu Haote revealed by the black dragon, and the moment of that encounter. And, in my 19th cycle, the flower basket old man who had ridden on my shoulder the entire time throughout. Everything about the Sal tree heavenly venerable comes flooding back. And, Zing, Kurururung, I come to know who Seo is. A brutal, wrenching pain feels as though it is tearing through my brain. I tremble in horror at the sensation of having learned something I should not know. Just now, at that very moment, the existence of Seo had vanished from the world. It was carved out of history entirely, rewritten Gaibian into nothing more than a nickname for blue earthworms. A dreadful truth that I would have remained oblivious had the Sal tree heavenly venerable not revealed it to me. Seo has been excised because he came to know something he should not have known. Without anyone being able to perceive it, in just a single moment. The Sal tree heavenly venerable opens his mouth. Despite detonating all the power accumulated in the annihilation flower over 100 million years, the door still remains closed. Making their way into this audience chamber with nothing but their innate authority. Salt sea, vast cold. Those two, just what? A tone that seems to be lamenting about something. But I, suffering from the agony of retaining memories of an erased existence, find it difficult to interpret the meaning of his words. Kugugugugu. Then, while I fail to regain my senses, the Sal tree heavenly venerable lifts me, who has become the annihilation flower. I have come to understand that my strength alone cannot suffice. And, as you said, I know that light is insidious. Still gazing towards the southern end, he turns his head to the right and speaks to someone. I think I know who that someone is. That being is meticulous beyond imagination. Perhaps even all of our actions are part of their prophecy. However, this time will be different. This time, we are not attempting to defy the heavens Nitian. The Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable is transcending space-time with the entity possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon to converse. The prophecy of Great Mountain has already brought you to this place. Cooperate, as the chaos has already begun. Kuring, Kurururung. With every word he speaks, the ominous energy, Shang-Chi, flowing from my annihilation flower-turned body dyes the surroundings. As if it will annihilate the world all over again. The Radiance 8 Immortals cannot come here. Never mind the lightning sacred sea, because the role of the annihilation flower does not end with simply knocking on the doors of the audience chamber. Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, or rather, in the place that used to be the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, 8 giants of light with despondent demeanors stand trembling in humiliation as they look upon the collapsed domain. OHEAVENLYVENERABLES. WASTHATALLOFYOU. The 8 giants collectively glare beyond the ruins of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain at the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, now being recreated after the end. There, the single move unleashed by the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable blankets the head realm in annihilation, using that annihilation as a coordinate to open a direct path towards the existence connected to the annihilation flower. The Radiance 8 Immortals, who had been preparing to stop the Great Mountain Supreme Deity in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, collectively grit their teeth in anger and tremble in fury. Seo Un-yun, who has become the annihilation flower, and the existence connected to him, the owner of Mountain, who had been watching the closing act of the Supreme Deity hunt, begins to properly exert their strength. Eastern end of the head realm. In a place where a small hole has formed in the dimensional barrier from the activation of the annihilation flower, someone enters. It is Hong Fan, who has lowered his cultivation to the integration stage and entered. Stepping onto the easternmost land, Hong Fan, perhaps unaccustomed to his senses being constrained to the integration stage. Perhaps unaccustomed after traversing such a vast boundary. He clutches his head and staggers in place for a moment. During this time, Hong Fan accidentally steps on and crushes a blue earthworm that had just crawled out from underground. Regaining his composure, Hong Fan lifts the foot that had squashed the blue earthworm. The blue worm lies crushed and dead. Seeing this, Hong Fan kneels down for a moment, as if feeling regret. I am sorry, little bug. It was not my intention. But alas, you could have just stayed buried in your burrow and lived. Why did you stick your head out of it? Pitiful child. As if sympathetic, Hong Fan buries the crushed blue earthworm back into the earth and builds a small mound over it. If there is a next life, then please, do not stick your head out of the burrow. You might get stepped on and die. Even if you do come out, quickly retreat back inside. So that no one steps on you. After briefly praying for the blue earthworm's rebirth in paradise, Jila Hong Fan regains his balance and looks towards a distant place. The place from which an overwhelming power of annihilation emanates. Hong Fan, with a hardened expression, uses the ground shrinking technique towards the power of annihilation. The path has already been laid. Kugugugugu. Once again, the head realm faces annihilation. Simultaneously, I sense a significant change in the attraction force emanating from the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable. The Heavenly Venerable's attraction force shifts the axis of space-time. Throughout the world, I can feel the fabric of time and space being wildly distorted. At the same time, I catch a faint glimpse of Young Sung Ling Sheng flickering beyond the sky. Young Sung, empowered by the authority of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, activates something. Please come. Western Heaven, Shitian, Great Mountain, Taishan, Liberation, Jia Fang. At that exact moment, beyond the distorted flow of time, the path connected to the annihilation flower is revealed. Beyond the annihilating head realm, someone's begin to emerge. So that's what it is. The figure of the flower basket old man begins to gradually distort and twist. From my perspective, only a few seconds have passed, but perhaps due to the time-space distortion caused by the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable and Young Sung. The entities emerging from the rift seem to have already spent thousands, tens of thousands of years. Countless reapers appear, and from the dark and deep recesses, the oldest one descends. The monster that has accumulated power and authority through countless mountains of corpses and seas of blood, the one connected to me, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, emerges. And behind them, though the figure is not clearly visible, a somewhat familiar being makes their entrance. From the old man who has been holding me until now, flowers of various shapes and colors bloom from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. He begins transforming into a colossal bizarre god, Guai composed entirely of a flower field. The snake is coming. The voice of the old one echoes. I feel my entire soul being crushed under the weight of their presence. The very existence and mass of these entities distorts reality itself. The Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable releases me on the spot. As if summoning these great entities to this place is the end of my role. The great beings summoned here no longer pay attention to me. Among them, the owner of the great mountain seems to briefly glance at me, but as if deciding it is not important right now, they divert their gaze. However, I am struck by a powerful shockwave just from that gaze, and I am sent flying far into the distance. In an instant, I am flung beyond the head realm and into the newly created astral realm as I watch their backs. At the forefront, the bizarre god of the flower field speaks. At last, the moment has arrived to break open the door. In order to save time. With those words, the great beings begin to exert their power. Under their authority, the entirety of the newly created Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, no, even beyond the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, trembles under their overwhelming authority. Wing. For some reason, the oldest one seems to slightly glance back at me. From within a darkness so deep that even perceiving is difficult, the oldest one does something to me. I immediately understand what they have done. They have forbidden Jin my death. Single quote. I see. While I am uncertain about the others, I can tell that at least this being is clearly aware of my regression. And so, under their authority, the world twists, and a blinding light illuminates everything. That's the end. I, now reduced to a single flower petal drained of all power, drift endlessly through the universe, unable to die. The first year is bearable. But 2 years pass, then 3, then 10. In this state as a flower petal, I am utterly incapable of doing anything. Complete powerlessness, Wu Li. However, I can feel my authority gradually returning. At the outskirts of the underworld, my authority as a sacred vessel sacred master begins to return. In this form as a single flower petal, if I can just connect to the outskirts of the netherworld after recovering all my authority, I can regain my strength. But I have no way to do so. 100 years have passed. I decide to carry out the sacred vessel advancement ritual for the Earth tribe by splitting my consciousness right now. After all, immortal arts are activated by the heart alone. Reciting the flawless mantra, I think of being, upside down, in my state as a flower petal as I fragment my mind. 1,000 years have passed. In subjective time, it felt like 10 million years. Is it because I had already undergone the Heaven Tribe Sacred Vessel Advancement Ritual? The Earth Tribe Sacred Vessel Advancement Ritual is 99% complete. Though confined to the tiny interior of this flower petal, I created a race, formed a world, and developed civilizations through my thoughts Nian Shang. The civilizations that emerged within my thoughts ultimately unified into one and returned to me, becoming me, once again. By reclaiming my body and conducting a simplified version of the Earth Tribe Sacred Vessel Advancement Ritual, I can now advance to the Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation Sacred Vessel stage. While my ability to wield immortal arts has improved, I am still far from finding a way to restore my body and authority. Because the underworld has forbidden Jin my death, I cannot enter the underworld, let alone its outskirts. To overcome this, I must either obtain power strong enough to shatter the prohibition of the Heavenly Venerable of the underworld or find something capable of ignoring the prohibition altogether. 10,000 years pass. I drift across various corners of the universe, occasionally being devoured by innate star-shattering esteemed ones and excreted as waste while wandering through the world. Since I cannot die anyway, I am not particularly worried. I attempt anything to find a way to connect to the netherworld. I try to achieve this through immortal arts, but every immortal art I can employ is swallowed by the Heavenly Venerable's prohibition. With immortal arts alone, I can never regain my strength. Realizing this, I search for other methods. I cling to innate, star-shattering esteemed ones, parasitizing them with my immortal arts, taking control over them, and testing my methods. I even try creating puppets or mechanical devices through parasitism. I activate every ritual and spell I know. As a last resort, I even offer a ritual to the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. However, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord does not respond at all. I also try to search for my comrades, but ever since the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable and Young Sung distorted time and space, I can no longer access the middle realms from the astral realm. I attempt to distort spacetime using immortal arts to ascend, but, in a state devoid of spiritual power, chi, or attraction force, going to the middle realm feels impossibly distant. Even doing so by guiding innate star-shattering stage esteemed ones results in the same. Perhaps it's due to a problem with spacetime itself, as even with the power of esteemed ones, ascension is far too difficult. After realizing how difficult it is to meet my comrades, I fall into extreme suicidal urges. However, there is no way for me to die. Since I am not entirely free to use immortal arts, I spend most of my time in a powerless state as a mere flower petal, contemplating how to escape this condition. Another 100,000 years pass. Now, I am 300,000 years old. It is only around this time that I find a way. It is none other than my death energy, chi. Though my death is forbidden, the power of death accumulated in my soul remains intact. To reclaim my power in this world where everything else has disappeared, I search for a way to harness this death energy. Using the phenomena extinguishing mantra to push attraction force to its peak and then causing it to explode can temporarily dissolve the death energy. That much is the truth. Thus, I begin searching for a way to handle death energy through the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Time flows endlessly once more. Then, when I reach exactly 320,000 years of age, the result of relentless imagining, contemplating, doubting, and reconstructing the method of handling death energy is, I realize that I am going insane. Someday, a circle yuan appears before my eyes. It is the circle that Hyeon Gui once drew. Previously, this circle had terrified me. The sight of Hyeon Gui mercilessly smashing the circle and the void that extended beyond it were horrifying to the point that I couldn't dare grip my sword. But, I suddenly sensed something strange. Back then, Hyeon Gui's dance was so dreadful and horrifying to me. Yet for some reason, the dance no longer feels as terrifying. Why was I so afraid of something like that? Such a question crosses my mind. Henceforth, I begin to ponder the reason. I turn 330,000 years old. My sense of time seems to have started slipping at some point. It's been off for a while, but now it truly feels like I have transcended the era when I wore a human mask. Time no longer feels like a vague, endless flow. To be precise, time no longer scares me. No, I have become unafraid of something else. Is it because of the tens of thousands of years of forced secluded cultivation? I feel as if I have opened my eyes to something. What that something is, I cannot clearly discern. However, when void perception starts to resonate, I wonder whether it's perhaps related to what Hyeon Gui had shown me. I endlessly reflect and reflect again on Hyeon Gui's dance. How much time has passed? Ah, yes, soon, I will turn 400,000 years old. Nearly 200,000 years have passed. Blink, I blink my eyes. When I come to my senses, I find myself suddenly inside a body. And, before my eyes stands a familiar being. I understand that this being has temporarily granted me a body. You've come to find me, Hyeon Gui. It is the girl in black martial attire, Hyeon Gui. She stands upside down in the cosmic space, her face expressionless and hollow as she meets my gaze. For what reason did you come to seek me out? Since it seems you've completed something interesting, I've come to give you a chance to demonstrate it. I'm still too ashamed to reveal it. Show it now. It is already nearly complete, and all that remains is refinement. Even if you name it and use it right now, it won't bring shame. I want to clash with it myself. Kukik, I can't help but laugh for some reason. Even you at the zenith of martial arts, were a heart tribe all along. I merely sought you out because you seem most suitable for a rehearsal before facing Underworld. The oldest one has gone to the head realm. Do you think they will return? As I became the annihilation flower of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, I came to understand all of the plans of the Heavenly Venerables in governing immortals. Even the insane acts committed by the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. I understood what kind of war they waged and what they were truly planning. Thus, if Underworld does not exist in the end, her so-called rehearsal holds no meaning. However, at my words, Hyeon Gui merely sneers at me. Do not worry, Underworld always returns. Pardon, you don't need to know. When the time comes, ask Underworld directly. Sururuk. Darkness gathers in her hand, coalescing into a sword. I watch her for a moment before silently summoning the colorless glass sword. The body I inhabit now is not my main body, but an incarnation created by Hyeon Gui. Moreover, communication with my main body, which resides on the outskirts of the netherworld, remains severed. However, it seems Hyongui has used her power to allow me to at least summon my sword. For a brief moment, I stare at the sword. Then, as she said, I prepare the singular sword technique I have studied for hundreds of thousands of years. Can you hold the sword now? I can. Wu Wang. She casually draws a circle in the void with her sword. Unlike the last time when her dance drew a circle, this is merely a casual act of roughly tracing a circle in the void. Yet, I feel as though I will be overwhelmed by her martial will emanating from that simple act. But, that is all. I merely smile faintly and lift my sword. Hyongui smirks, letting her sword hang loosely. Quote. You've become decent. Now, show me. After studying for hundreds of thousands of years, what is the answer you have attained? Chiok. I take my stance. This is a single sword technique. Yet, it transcends everything I have accumulated thus far. It is the simplest movement, known among countless swordsmen as a thrust. The colorless glass sword and the all-heavens sword merge. The two swords, united as one, become a line. The tip of that sword becomes a point. With this single point, I will execute a thrust. Hyongui smiles gloomily. Her expression is impossible to interpret. A gaze imbued with emotions like welcoming, pity, sympathy, joy, pleasure, depression, and pain. Through tens of thousands of years of solitude and powerlessness, you have come to perceive that place. Sururuk. The sword of darkness begins to become one with her arm. That sword is no simple sword. Merely a form that resembles a sword, it is the semblance of martial arts. For some reason, she looks at me with a gaze that seems to be filled with genuine pity. Congratulations on glimpsing the domain of true despair. Now, come at me. The next moment, my sword, too, becomes dyed in darkness. No, everything about me is instantly dyed in darkness. I become death. A thought once crossed my mind. If I can compress death energy with the phenomena extinguishing mantra and then detonate it, can I not make use of it? As I pondered this, my thoughts suddenly shifted to Hyonggui's martial art. While considering her circle and the use of death energy, I felt my consciousness touch upon a certain realm. It was death, beyond what the heavenly venerable of the underworld sealed away under the name of the cycle of rebirth. The domain of absolute annihilation. I witnessed the true death that resides there. Even the interdimensional void of the heavenly venerable of the void is merely a mimicry of this true death, a path to make it easier for living beings to approach true death. It is not true emptiness Kong. What is true emptiness Kong? What is true death? Death is purity, the primordial state of absolute nothingness. The absolute truth that applies equally to all things. Death is rest, and at the same time, peace, and great purity. And yet, it was only after 200,000 years of seclusion that I barely glimpsed that truth. I could not reach that place. However, I understand now, only by reaching that purity, can I shatter the heavenly venerable's prohibition and reclaim death. Then, what must I do to reach that place? To reach that domain of purity, I compress everything. All of my life, Sheng. All of my death, Si. All of my heart, Shin. All of my history and all of my future everything. Into a single thrust, I pour everything to aim for the domain of purity. To reach true death. Through the domain of the underworld, domain of the source river, domain of the eastern heaven flower field, and domain of the interdimensional void. I pierce a hole through all of them. I surround my body with death energy, condensed to the point it feels liquefied. What is the identity of this death energy? I have pondered this for a long time, and I finally understood. This death energy is precisely the traces of resistance against fate throughout my countless histories. The traces left behind by my resistance against the fate of death and my endless struggles against the pull of attraction force have crystallized into this death energy. The countless moments when I lost to attraction force. Those traces have accumulated to become my shackles. The marks of defeat have become my death energy, trying to once again bind me to the fate of death and forcefully pull me to defeat. But, this time, I do not resist that attraction force of death. Instead, I accept it. I can feel the death energy dragging me towards death. Of course, thanks to the heavenly venerable's prohibition, I do not die. But a pain akin to death engulfs me. 1,000 moments of death flash before my eyes like a revolving lantern. TL, revolving lantern is a metaphor for a rapid flood of memories. All that torment crashes down upon me at once. Take this. Hyonggui's sword lowers towards me. I do not resist the power of death. Instead, I comply with it, adding my own will to that power. All of my attraction force and heart, with the formula of the phenomena extinguishing mantra, converge into a single point and become added to the power of death. Pot. In that state, I thrust. For a fleeting moment, my body transcends life. Through my eyes, I see the dimensions of the Source River, the Eastern Heaven flower field, the interdimensional void, and the netherworld. And then, beyond them, towards true death, towards the domain of purity, I thrust my sword. I no longer perceive Hyongui before my eyes. I, simply, thrust towards the ultimate of martial arts. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 34th move. Complying with the entirety of my attraction force of death, compressing the entirety of my strength and adding on to it all for a single thrust. Kunlun Kunlun. I witness absolute purity. Though it is only through a hole smaller than a mere point, I behold that purity. Pasasik. The next moment, my sword shatters, and my body is deeply slashed. My single technique is broken by Hyeongui's single strike. Smirk. However, Hyeongui smiles. In her right hand, a small hole has been pierced. Sloppy. She offers her critique. I simply smile silently in return. For the first time in hundreds of thousands of years, I am able to hold the sword again. That alone is enough, but it was worth seeing. Concluding her brief evaluation, she bursts her own heart on the spot and dies. Single quote. I see. I understand her method of taking her own life so easily. It isn't suicide, it is merely abandoning the flesh and moving beyond. A method of drawing infinitely close to the domain of purity and transferring to another place. To her, death is not something to fear, it is merely a part of her martial arts. When I consider that the best I can manage is to create a pinpoint hole capable of glimpsing the domain of purity with all my strength, the gap between her and myself is despairingly vast. But I smile. Pasasik. The heavenly venerable's prohibition cannot stop me who has momentarily transcended the domain of death. I regain all of my authority. At the same time, with every ounce of my willpower exhausted, I can feel my body and soul falling into that deep domain of the underworld. Ah, have they returned? I can feel it. Deep within the underworld, for some reason, I sense the presence of the oldest one. However, having exhausted everything in the recent clash with Hyeongui, I have no strength to resist. For reasons unknown, the oldest one does not seem particularly eager to pull me in. I am simply falling, sinking deeper into the domain of the underworld. I don't think Hyeongui will particularly help me. Single quote. Is this how I become taxidermized? It's been a long and eventful journey. I close my eyes and fall deeper into the deep and deeper place. Beyond the domain of the underworld. In the place where the sun and moon heavenly domain lies, for some reason, there now exist 3 additional middle realms that appear to have been torn apart and crushed like bugs. Beyond them, the head realm, perhaps it's just my imagination, seems to have grown slightly larger in size. Resigned to being taxidermized for all of eternity, I fall powerlessly like a bug to the deepest depths. That is my 999th return. Chapter 499, 999th Cycle's First Day. When I come to my senses, what I see is not the familiar scene from before. Not the river of scenes, nor the 10 thrones beneath the black sky, but simply an infinite and boundless darkness. The deepest and most colossal existence. The endless darkness itself that is presumed to be the oldest one. Ah, so I've been taxidermized after all. In the end, it seems that regressing right in front of this existence is meaningless. It appears that my authority of regression will come to an end on this very day. Until now, it has been a good life. It's when I think so. Wo Wang. From the boundless darkness, a light bursts forth. The light is pure and white, like salt. I have seen that light before. It's the same light I had seen on Penglai Island. The light of Salt Mountain. When I regain my composure, the light has formed a wheel before my eyes. A wheel far more radiant, beautiful, immense, and sacred than my own, a wheel of pure white brilliance. And as soon as I come to my senses, the wheel begins to reverse. Keying. Single quote. Exclamation mark single quote. At the same time, I sense a deep sigh laced with lamentation erupt from the depths of the darkness. Simultaneously, I sense something twisted being reversed and returning to its normal state within the wheel's reversal. It feels as though my canvas of myriad forms and connections has eased a little. And just when the wheel halts its reversal, and my canvas of myriad forms and connections feels significantly lighter, I suddenly realize that I am moving farther away from the oldest one. This is keying. Once again, the familiar river of scenes rushes past me, and far in the distance, the black sky emerges with the illuminating 10 thrones. The oldest one has let me go. From a great distance, I seem to hear a voice. We will meet again. That definitely seems to be the meaning behind the voice. As I fail to understand the will of the oldest one who is letting me go, all I can do is nod. The process of reversing through history is quite long. After all, retracing 200,000 years in a single leap naturally requires some time. Taking advantage of this gap, I look up at the sky that has now become a little familiar. The 10 thrones within it. No. 7. Among them, only 7 thrones are shining. It is then, Sururuk. The light flickers for a moment, then 3 more thrones brighten once again. The number of thrones have become 10. Due to the regression, the thrones are returning. It is at that moment. Is it because my realm has risen? Or is it because something unusual has occurred with the thrones returning? I begin to see something new. From those 10 thrones, I can perceive something. Those are symbols. They are symbols. Among the symbols I had seen before in Youngsung's ring, some of them are now visible, emitting light from the thrones. However, I cannot perceive them clearly, and I can only recognize the symbol of the mountain exuding darkness. That mountain symbol, naturally, belongs to the great mountain supreme deity. Since it is a symbol tied to the connection between me and my senior brother, I recognize it instantly. As I confirm the great mountain supreme deity's symbol, I sense the familiar moment of regression approaching. This time's moment of regression, where will it be? In the past, regression was always fixed upon reaching the head realm. If so, will it be fixed this time as well? As I contemplate this question, I welcome the new 999th cycle of regression. Light envelops me. Wo Wang, I come to my senses. And I immediately grasp the current situation. Quote. So it's here. Is this fortune, or is this misfortune? I find myself in an all too familiar regression point. I am standing right before Blood Yin. I see the authority of the Blood Yin surging toward me. However, unlike before, Blood Yin no longer appears as despair itself. I've been through far too many terrifying things for that to be the case. Exhaling death energy from my entire body, I rapidly accelerate my mind. Though the body I inhabit is at the integration stage, I have definitely restored all of my original authority at the time of my death. And ever since reaching void shattering, my authority has begun to accumulate with each regression. Thus, I am now in the sacred vessel stage. Silence and be respectful, Jing Su. With my mind accelerating after rising to sacred vessel, I utter a single phrase, and Blood Yin flinches. I have come, sent by the Imperial Venerable. Former Chief Judge, respectfully uphold propriety. Keying. Behind my head, a wheel emerges. At the same time, liquefied death energy undulates around me. With a solemn gaze, I glare directly at Blood Yin. Even though true immortals are, without a doubt, true immortals, and staring directly at one means enduring overwhelming pain. I have already witnessed true death. Therefore, I can bear the fear and pain of gazing at a true immortal for a moment. Under my stern rebuke, Blood Yin flinches and shudders before halting on the spot. Then, immediately after, Blood Yin reveals a form they have not shown even once throughout the entirety of the previous 900 cycles. Single quote. Exclamation mark single quote. Blood Yin's form shrinks. The massive lump of blood mist that was Blood Yin shrinks to a size comparable to mine as they transform. Sururuk. Transforming into a human form, Blood Yin, now concealing their presence, locks eyes with me. I can't help but be surprised the moment I see their appearance. They somewhat resemble Xiao Wei'ou, but at the same time, there is a lingering impression of Yu Haotei. With eyes that look slightly fierce but a countenance that could appear exceptionally kind if he smiles, an overall soft impression. Does the distinguished one have proof that he is the envoy of the Imperial Venerable? He sharply questions me. However, I respond without faltering. I was sent by the Imperial Venerable. Verify it for yourself. Do you not possess the eyes that judge all vice? Quote. This is no jest, but the simple truth. I have returned to this time point because the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld granted me permission to regress and sent me back. Wo Wang. For a moment, red energy flashes in Blood Yin's eyes. Then, letting out a low groan, he kneels on one knee before me. Quaching. Simultaneously, the surrounding space begins to be rewritten. With Blood Yin's will, a small dimension forms within the interdimensional void, and both he and I along with my comrades are relocated to a space resembling a reception chamber adorned with gemstones radiating dark red light. To the one sent by the Imperial Venerable, this Blood Yin pays his respects. I apologize for being unable to welcome thee under the name of Yu Hao Te. Though he usually refers to himself as Yu Hao Te, it seems he still has some conscience that compels him to properly introduce himself as Blood Yin as he recognizes me as a fellow Reaper. I survey my surroundings. So he created a small dimension on the spot. I could think of it as a simple reception chamber, but it's a type of barrier meant to prevent me from escaping in case of emergency. I cannot let my guard down. I convey the words of the Imperial Venerable. You, the former chief judge, are to immediately abolish the clone called Hyonium. May I ask the reason? It is the doing of the Imperial Venerable. Do you not trust this? For a moment, Blood Yin raises his head and looks at me. My legs feel like trembling under that crimson gaze. This isn't fear but a sort of instinct. An instinct born of the overwhelming disparity in rank between a sacred vessel and a true immortal. Understood. Snap. Blood Yin snaps his fingers on the spot. Simultaneously, an illusion appears before my eyes. This isn't an ordinary illusion. It's practically a dimensional passage connected almost directly to the astral realm. Out of the 2,401 stars, 2,400 simultaneously lose their light and crumble into fragments. The constellation known as Hyonium no longer exists. All that remains is a single planet. What is the reason for leaving one behind? It is because I trust in the Imperial Venerable. If you truly have faith, then sever it. Without hesitation. Then, Blood Yin glares at me. As expected, this wretched bug has deceived this immortal. Upon hearing those words, I gather my comrades and immediately detonate my integration stage body without hesitation. Kwang, right here, on the spot, I initiate the advancement ritual for the star-shattering stage. Kwagg. Under the self-destruction of a grand perfection integration stage, the small dimension tears apart. Kururum, nebulae spread outward, and I feel Blood Yin once again in his true form glaring at me. Do not expect to die peacefully. How dare you impersonate an envoy of the Imperial Venerable and destroy this immortal's clone? Spy of light, Kugugugugu. An immense pressure crashes down on me. It seems I've made some sort of mistake in front of Blood Yin. Is leaving a single star intact something the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld would have normally allowed? Or, was there some gap shown in our brief conversation? I quickly condense my origin star. In the previous life, I reached the sacred vessel stage of the Heaven tribe, and also underwent the advancement ritual for the Earth tribe sacred vessel stage. What remains now is to complete the Earth tribe advancement ritual perfectly with this origin star and face both the star-shattering and sacred vessel heavenly tribulations simultaneously. If I succeed, I will truly reach the three great ultimates of the sacred vessel stage. A spy of light, you say? What a strange claim. You summoned the Radiance 8 immortals yet dare to speak lies. Immediately, Blood Yin uses some kind of transcendent authority. However, I silently turn the wheel. I declare, your authority shall be rewritten. I've endured that single strike Blood Yin used to subdue me many times before. I've come to understand it to this extent. Pasasasa. Blood Yin's attack truly transforms into a wave, merely sweeping over me. I can sense Blood Yin's astonishment. However, I still feel a powerful distrust lingering in the depths of his consciousness. Because of some mistake during our conversation, it seems he won't believe me no matter what trick I pull. If that's the case, I'll have to proceed as originally planned. This is actually better. In the first place, bluffing in front of Blood Yin was nothing more than a gamble, thinking, would he believe me if I do this? On the contrary, just having him kneel before me and smash Hyonium to that extent is already a gain. Seizing the moment when Blood Yin is taken aback, I quickly move from the interdimensional void to the astral realm. From behind, I hear the sound of Blood Yin's enraged roar. But I begin to manipulate the attraction force of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. Wing. The laws surrounding me rotate like a wheel. At the same time, the dimensions thicken, sealing tightly so that Blood Yin cannot enter. Kugugugugu. From beyond, I can feel Blood Yin trembling in fury, attempting to break through to the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. And finally, quacking. A section of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain collapses, and an enormous, colossal red arm bursts through. Simultaneously, the universe is rewritten. Under Blood Yin's will, the universe changes in various places. However, I see it, how Blood Yin manipulates this world and how the universe obeys his commands. I can escape, I'm sure of it. Wherever Blood Yin sends his will to form a barrier, I send mine to dismantle it. When he sends his authority, I reverse it. When he sends a curse, I reflect it. When he uses attraction force, I respond with repulsive force. Blood Yin's single arm and I are competing on nearly equal footing. However, it's not enough. If this drags out, I'll definitely lose. Even now, Blood Yin is so enraged that he's not in his right mind, which is the only reason I'm managing to exchange moves with him. It's not enough with just this. More, an even stronger decisive move. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 33rd move, Sumeru. The Sumeru sword dance draws a circle around me, beginning to borrow the power of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. Once again, the sword spear heavenly lord might obsess over me. Therefore, this time, I block even the possibility of such an outcome at its root. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 34th move, Kunlun. The move of Sumeru and the move of Kunlun unite. I transform Sumeru's final decisive stroke into a thrust, spreading the thick death energy of me and the entire world. Then, stepping beyond the underworld, I unleash a single thrust that reaches true death. Keying. For an instant, my body transcends the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. And, Blood Yin's true body, I can perceive beyond it all. Pot. A thrust faster and more precise than anything else. Pawak. Immediately after, the world freezes. It feels as though the vibrations of the entire world have subsided. At the same time, I hear the scream of Blood Yin, who now has a small hole in one of his hands. I immediately turn around and leap across dozens of light years using the ground shrinking technique. The one and only means to desecrate Blood Yin's fate which I couldn't use in my previous life due to the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord's interference. In this life, I will use it. Chapter 500. Conclusion of the Escape. Kugugugugu. The universe trembles. Blood Yin, who had fired his arm at me, refrains from directly reaching out to grab me, perhaps wary of Kunlun, or perhaps cautious of the wheel. Instead, massive hands formed of blood mist emerge, stretching out to seize me in its place. However, that much is enough. As long as Blood Yin doesn't act directly, this is enough. Crack. For some reason, a throbbing sensation is felt in my left shoulder. I briefly sweep over my shoulder with my consciousness and quickly understand the cause. The scar left by the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord has somehow followed me even into this life. However, because I just used Kunlun, enveloping my body with death energy, the power of the underworld that surrounds me seems to prevent it from affecting me. This rather works out well. At this moment, the power of the Radiance 8 Immortals would only be a burden. Therefore, I suppress it instead. TSTSTSTSs. I completely seal the scar with death energy and accelerate even faster through the universe. Then, Kugugugugugu. 50 entering Nirvana true persons block my path. Smirk. True persons seniors, what business do you have here? From behind, Blood Yin's spell bears down on me. From ahead, true persons with whom I have unresolved enmity surround me. Each of them blocks my path with their clone, growling menacingly. Each clone is at the sacred vessel level. The time has come to repay old grudges. You, who seem to have been lucky enough to reach the sacred vessel stage, do you think you can escape our grasp? I look at them and sneer. Does it not feel strange that someone who was just at the 4-axis stage until recently has now reached the sacred vessel stage? We understand what you're trying to imply. But true immortal Blood Yin has vouched for it. You are, in the end, not a true immortal. Wing. Without saying another word, I summon the wheel behind my head. As expected, it doesn't work. But this time, I might just be able to carve out a gap and escape. The possibility is high. Just as I'm thinking this and prepare to activate the wheel, the true persons begin convulsing one after another as they fix their gazes on the wheel behind me. ... I stare at them, unable to comprehend their reaction. What's this? Did they see something they shouldn't, like during the phenomena extinguishing mantra? All the better for me. Because the result is so unexpected, I quickly glance back at Blood Yin's spell, which has nearly caught up to me, then leap onto the clone of one of the true persons and activate Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. Ghost Face Killing Heaven's Furnace. Do. The flames of the Crystal Glass to Treading Sea engulf me. Simultaneously, the flames twist and distort as they transform into ghost fire, exuding pitch-black ghostly energy. From my entire body, streams of ghost fire surge forth, dyeing the surroundings. And then, over the immortal attire covering my body, faces begin to emerge. Each face takes the form of a skull, with expressions ranging from agonized suffering to serene calm. However, they share one common trait: every single skull weeps tears of blood. The skull faces emerging over the immortal attire total 999. Chi. At that moment, ghost fire spreads to my face, changing its form as well. My original face becomes completely covered by a mask with the texture of charcoal. Eyes, nose, mouth, ears. The 7 orifices vanish entirely. What remains is nothing but a faceless charcoal mask, emitting ghost fire in fiery streams through its cracks. On top of that mask, several eye-shaped patterns, representing curses, etch themselves, creating a grotesque and eerie impression. The ends of my arms and legs sharpen into jagged edges, reaching a point where they could easily be called devil claws. Quaduduk. In this state, I stand atop the clone of the entering nirvana true person, raising the wheel high behind my head and intimidating the true person. Move immediately. If you do not obey, I shall transmit the wheel directly to your main body using this clone as the medium. The true person trembles with rage, but perhaps understanding that my capabilities are sufficient to back up my words, they move their swallow-like body and quickly streak across the universe. The crystal glass to treading sea form optimized for curse and ghost path methods. The ghost face killing heavens for Nascan indeed do such a thing, so it isn't a lie. Can't you go faster? KWAGGGG. The eye-shaped patterns on my mask begin flowing from my hands into the true person's clone. In response, the clone screams madly and accelerates even further, moving through the universe at faster speed. In the far distance, I can see Blood Yin's spell growing further away. At this point, one might think, I've shaken it off, but I don't let my guard down. Fate is near absolute. If I were on equal footing with those beings, I might be able to shatter the absoluteness of fate head-on, but as long as I remain below them, that's almost impossible. In other words, as long as the prophecy exists that says, I will meet Blood Yin and face death by his hand, even if I escape Blood Yin's grasp now, it is my fate to encounter them again someday. Therefore, I shall desecrate fate. Using the information Ohio had given me in my previous life, I begin to calculate the coordinates. There, the clone of the true person. Grabbing hold of their head, I pour even more ghostly energy and curses into the body, driving it into a berserk state. The true person's clone lets out a pained scream and flies rapidly towards a distant star cluster. Then it happens. Cooing, tingle, tingle, a massive sound reverberates from behind me, and a spine-chilling sense of foreboding spreads through my entire body. That's. Though Blood Yin's spells are hundreds of light years away, I can see it clearly. It must be a type of immortal art that transcends distance. What appears as a hanging scroll formed of dark red mist. The scroll unrolls downward, and writing begins to form upon it. What it records are the charges of my sins. I declare, your vice shall be judged. Chills. Blood Yin, this narrow-minded bastard. Are you really using an immortal art wielded by the authority of the chief judge in his prime against a mere sacred vessel? Hear me, Seo Un-yun, spy of light. You, possessing the attraction force of light, dare to steal my lord's immortal art. Thus, you shall be charged with the sin of coveting the authority of the underworld. Kugugugugu. The entire universe began to tremble. However, I'm on the verge of madness. He's been calling me a spy of light, a devotee, claiming that I summoned the Radiance 8 Immortals. Just what kind of nonsense is he spouting? Still, instead of trying to make sense of the situation, I focus on responding first. I must stop the judgment. Can that too be rewritten? Clang. Suddenly, a shackle used for prisoners is fastened around my neck. Soon, visions of karmic fire surging wildly around me appear. I can't move. Due to the severity of the sins, sinner Seo Un-yun shall be executed by dismemberment and exiled to the true devil realm for reincarnation. No, not even the wheel can rewrite this. This is truly unavoidable. I'm about to become a 3-layered Seo Un-yun pancake. Kong. ... Blood Yin's immortal speech resounds throughout the universe. What? Why does the judgment not activate? Are you saying this immortal's insight is wrong? Are you saying this immortal's judgment is flawed? This is a thief who, as a believer of light, stole the immortal art of the underworld. So why is this immortal's judgment out of alignment? I don't know what's happening, but... Crash. I shatter the shackle as it is and continue to coerce the clone of the true person. This is impossible. Kugugugugugu. Behind me, several fixed stars explode under the wrath of Blood Yin. The light from the far reaches of the universe flickers violently, and crimson shadows sway madly. This is truly a true immortal. I still can't compete against Blood Yin's authority. The gap in authority is simply too vast. All I can do is move forward, focusing on getting as far away from Blood Yin's influence as possible. Just then, Kurururung, a sound like the collapse of space echoes, as a giant pung bird, with one wing large enough to shroud the sun, appears before me. The pung bird's form is half-transparent, as if it exists both within and outside reality. Its two eyes burn bright red, like smelting furnaces. Insolent thing, do you dare mock this immortal? .. Exclamation mark. I turn to look at the sacred vessel-level clone of the quasi-immortal that I am holding. The clone that I have been holding onto suddenly smirks, then with an oddly gloomy face, transforms into a black-haired woman dressed in a neat black skirt and black giagori. Giagori is the upper garment of a hanbo. Search Giagoli for images. Pasasasic. The black-haired woman melts into something resembling black slime and covers my arm. A curse? No, this is just a simple 5-element spell. It seems to be a water element spell. The black slime writhes as it spreads over my body, while the black pung bird before me, the main body of the true person who I have just been coercing and using as a mount, roars furiously as if consumed by rage. You dare mock me, I will tear your body to shreds, plant madness within you, and torment you as my immortal treasure for hundreds of millions of years. Kugugugu. As the pung bird flaps its wings, an interstellar wind begins to surge. Kugugugugu. The attraction force of the universe warps, and something begins to be summoned in front of the pung bird. Realizing its identity, I am utterly shocked. Antimatter. A mass of antimatter the size of a moon is being summoned at the center of the interstellar wind created by the pung bird. As the antimatter comes into contact with the matter of the universe, it instantly transforms into chi, exploding together with light. Woodook, woodoodoodook. Observing the lump of antimatter the size of a moon release an explosive force capable of casually surpassing an entire star system, I quickly take the starting form. Kunlun, simplified form, ground shrinking, combined style. Dusk scattering, Huang Hun. This is a technique where I compress a slight concentration of death energy at the tip of my sword, then thrust quickly while adding attraction force to tear a hole into the void. Pong. A hole opens in the void. This is no ordinary hole. Unfolded alongside the spell of ground shrinking, the hole serves as a special method for travel, capable of traversing thousands of light years in a single step. Pot. In a single leap, I cross thousands of light years and glance back. Kugugugugu. I can feel it. Far off in the distance, the quasi-immortal is once again pursuing me. In mere moments, they will reach this place. It's fine. Now, I'm almost there. Without releasing the form of ghost face killing heaven's furnace, I prepare for the final ground shrinking technique. Kugugu. Far away, dozens of light years beyond, I begin to sense the presence of the pung bird. Unlike me who used a special technique to leap across thousands of light years, it's covering the distance by simply flying with ease. But I only smirk as I swiftly take my starting form again and thrust once more towards the void. Dusk scattering. Pot. The void tears open, and finally, I reach the destination I've been aiming for. Pawak. Within a massive nebula. There, I sense a familiar presence. Woo. Quadrillions of ghosts are wailing. At the center of this sea of ghosts, a colossal being is rising. The ghost guiding Holy Mother. At this moment, it is Kong Minhee, at the star-shattering stage. I've arrived. I can feel the pung bird once again chasing from afar. On top of that, the attraction force of Blood Yin's fate tightens even more fiercely around me. But, it's over. Bu Wang. Reciting the flawless mantra, I charge directly at Kong Minhee. She stares at me with irrational eyes. My form, specialized for the ghost path method, seems to make her perceive me as one of the ghost kings under her rule, as she doesn't bother restraining me. I burrow into the chest of her massive being. Pawak. Within the deep darkness, I walk straight into the darkness. At the same time, due to the authority of the flawless mantra, my mind seems to split apart and my perception of time begins to stretch. Adding the realm of void shattering to my efforts, I accelerate my consciousness with the flawless mantra, continuing to walk deeper and deeper into her inner depths. There is enough time. Therefore, here and now, I will desecrate fate, advance to the sacred vessel stage of the Earth tribe to attain the three great ultimates. And, I will save Kong Minhee. Pot. I reach out my hand into a place of darkness deep within her and seize what I came for. Clench. The true heavenly lotus fruit. The very object I had placed within her bosom when I sent Kong Minhee to the astral realm. And, the food of true immortals that's imbued with the authority of Blood Yin. The method to desecrate fate is simple. The teaching of the great mountain supreme deity surfaces in my mind. If there's a fate where the universe will be destroyed, the way to twist that fate is to raise a slave called the universe, and then kill that universe. If you do that, fate will be fulfilled no matter how forced it may be, and you'll be able to escape the absoluteness of fate by insisting to the world that you didn't resist fate. Wu Wang, that is the way to mock and desecrate fate. At last, we meet again, Blood Yin. Wu Wang, the split soul of Blood Yin quivers. It seems as though it wants to rip me apart right now, but it cannot exert its power within Kong Minhee. Perhaps this is because the forces of the underworld are planning something involving Kong Minhee. With this, the reunion with Blood Yin is fulfilled. All that remains is to face death. And I continue to walk towards the deep depth of Kong Minhee. The hole inside her that connects to death. Together with Blood Yin, I will go to seal that hole. It's a memory from long ago. Minhee SSI, think about it carefully. Who even comes up with the idea of selling soap imprinted with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? And this isn't even our original project. Let's just stick to what we were already doing, okay? I'm saying let's do both. We have enough leeway right now, don't we? Don't you know the president likes this kind of thing, Yun SSI? Stop arguing and just get this done. TL, SSI basically means Mr. or Ms. No, why would the president like something like this? He only mentioned watching a movie where the Universal Declaration of Human Rights appeared last time. Let's just stick to the manual and prepare for delivery as originally planned. Why are you interfering with every single thing? You know I'm getting promoted to team leader next month, right? Let's not make this exhausting for each other and just get things done quickly. You're well past the early days of employment, aren't you? And you still don't get how much the president loves declarations like this. Well, it's not like your tactlessness is a new thing, Yun SSI. It'd be good for you to study the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by tomorrow. Anyway, I have a meeting now, so I'll take my leave. The project Kong Minhee herself had pushed forward. Human Rights Declaration soap. It didn't seem like such a bad idea. But unexpected difficulties arose. Hey, Kong Minhee, where's Kong Minhee? Deputy Kong Minhee, did you include the declaration? Yun Sok had stormed into the office, shouting furiously. Our client Yang Zhengxin just cancelled the entire contract and left. Did you not know that Yang Zhengxin's family got ruined once in the past because of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? After that, the memories are hazy. The president, who was known for collecting declarations and famous quotes, had summoned Kong Minhee with a stern expression and reprimanded her. For a while, the company atmosphere became incredibly bad. Thankfully, she wasn't fired, but since such a major contract had fallen through, rumors spread that her salary would be docked and it would negatively affect her performance reviews for some time. Because of that, Kong Minhee was not in her right mind for several days. She was constantly summoned, swore at, and reprimanded for days on end. She became so gloomy that she went drinking. In the middle of her drinking, Seo Eun-yun had intervened. While drinking together with Seo Eun-yun, at some point, her consciousness slipped away. Kong Minhee, reminiscing about that time in her memory, laughs. When she opened her eyes, she was on the bed in Seo Eun-yun's house. Within a black canopy, a woman is surrounded by dozens of ghost kings at the integration level. She is sitting on a black throne, dozing off. For some reason, it seems as though she is dreaming a happy dream. Just then, the ghost kings who are guarding her suddenly begin to tremble violently in terror in unison. Pawak, someone has entered the black canopy. A grotesque being with only eye-shaped patterns on its face and 999 ghost faces Guimian adorning its entire body. The integration stage ghost kings tremble in fear and collapse to their knees on the spot. Slowly, the monster with 999 ghost faces approaches the woman on the throne. Kong Minhee, clang, on either side of her, two ghost kings at the star-shattering stage, trembling in fear, raise their scythes in a cross to block the ghost mask monster with 999 ghost faces. However, the monster of ghost faces pays them no mind and passes right through the scythes of the ghost kings, grabbing Kong Minhee by the arm. Kong Minhee, Wu Wang, behind that being's head, a wheel floats up. I will save you now. The being stares straight into the black hole that lies beyond Kong Minhee's heart essence. And then, the entities beyond that hole begin to react to its gaze. Keying, the ghost mask monster, Seo Eun-yun's wheel begins to spin violently. I declare, be rewritten. The connection between Seo Eun-yun and Kong Minhee seem to flash past them. Break apart, the voices that call to her. Quagwong. At that very moment, terrifying ghostly energy begins to gush out from the hole inside her heart essence. First seat of the Underworld 10 Kings. Current Netherworld Chief Judge, Yama True Lord Yan Mo Gen Jun Yama Yan Luo, following the command of the oldest one, begins to reveal their presence.